Thanks for being on. We had our makeup session today. Let's go ahead and do this first. Uh, May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer. And it's in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Welcome, everybody. As always, this is Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. We give all, all praise and honor once again to the Most High Yahweh Elohim. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And we're thankful and grateful to have everybody on with us today. Thank you to everybody who came on our makeup session for the Early Rise of Bible Study session. We'll have another makeup session tomorrow at 6:30 if you want to join us for that, so we can be caught up. More than likely, what we're going to do is we'll do a makeup session. I guess since we didn't go live yesterday, we couldn't because of lack of signal. We'll do another makeup session for that tomorrow. So we'll be on live tomorrow here on TikTok on Kofi_43. We're on every day, by the way, at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time on this TikTok channel on Kofi_42. We're on every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time, except for Wednesdays. Wednesdays is my day off, except for tomorrow. Tomorrow we won't do an evening session. We'll just do a rising session, and then to make up for yesterday. So we'll make sure we get our quota out. And then, of course, a lot of stuff we need to make sure we send out to everybody. Those who are part of the Holy Day Committee, we're going to make sure that we meet up today at what was that? I think 6:30 p.m. Eastern New York time. But we thank you all. We appreciate you. We honor your presence here today. We're going to get ready to get into this in a second. Please, once again, though, I give all honor and praise to the Most High. We give all honor and praise for my wife, the Honorable Amma. You can find her at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree for people who need an extra oomph on things. And her business is making sure that your health is her business. So if you'd like to support it, please do so. It's different than what we do here, where it's donation only. She has a business, so please respect it as such. But thank you, everybody, for being on. We appreciate you. We're going to get ready to get into this. Before we start getting into this, hello, Sister Rhonda. Hello to everybody. Shalom, peace be upon everybody. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo estás? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Hopefully, ça va bien. Namaste, ni hao, aqua aba, et the sen. Habari, Jambo, Mimini Kofi, Ninifra Kukatana Nawewe. Once again, Shalom, A'anai Kofi. Kadah, thank you for being on. We're excited. We're thankful. We're grateful. How's everybody doing? Hello, Keith. Hello, Brother Austin. Excuse me. Brother Austin, right? Austin. There we go. I'm getting my names mixed up. Missouri. How you doing? Big Brother Thomas. Sister Deborah, Devil Dog. Okay, if that's Marine. Okay, cool. Jay. See, we don't know each other, but your heart is a one-way ticket to paradise, and everyone's ready. Okay, amen. Thank you. How you doing? Bounty, Seven Horners, KS999. I'm all over the place. We were just in Georgia. We were just in Georgia yesterday where I couldn't get signal. We were over near Tallulah Falls. So, welcome on. Hello, Sir Stephen. I'm doing well. Hopefully you're doing well. Sir, my brother, servant of one. How you doing? To everybody, Dusty Rose, Minister Tamara. Hey, how you doing? You peeped the Swahili? Yep, the Swahili was part of one of the languages we put up in there, of course. Language of our people. How you doing, Sister Barbara? Sister Betty, everybody. If I missed your name for some reason, how you doing? Stephanite, is it? Stephanite Lee Weird or Stefanitely Weird? Okay. Interested play on words. How are you guys doing? And thank you for being on. Thank you again. Yesterday we didn't have signal. We'll make up for that. We'll try to do a live session tomorrow here on Kofi_43 once again. And thank you for being on. We appreciate your presence here. And thank you for your patience with us. But yeah, we are appreciative of everybody for being on. So we're gonna get into this. Let's go ahead and show how you doing, Sister Beverly. How you doing, Brother Naya? Everybody. Thank you for the compliment. We appreciate you. Everybody on here. How are you guys doing? So today, I was going to name this something different. I was going to name this save or S word that means taking away somebody's life. However, that's a word we're not really supposed to use on social media, and I will honor that because it is a triggering word. But we are going to talk about a triggering matter. Those who are on here right now, the moderators, please be ready, because sometimes we have to go into the things that are difficult to talk about to be able to ensure that we can have an actual better conversation. And this is actually, oh no, did I not? I thought I took a, did the picture not come on here? Oh no, that picture might not have came on. Uh-oh, that's not great. Hmm. Well, I knew it. I know I took a picture of it. That's weird. Yeah, this is where we were yesterday. Right, we were looking at that. That's my son's head right there. We were in some Cherokee land looking over some things. But, oh man, what I was looking for isn't on here. Y'all might have to give me a second to find what I'm looking for. Hold on. Hmm. See, it was doing some weird thing yesterday. I knew it was going to do that. It was doing some weird thing yesterday. Uh, okay, y'all give me a second. Don't go anywhere. I know everybody gonna leave when I say that. Don't go anywhere. Give me a few seconds, please. Give me like maybe 30 seconds, a minute at the most. I'm gonna try and find this picture because this picture is what everything we're gonna talk about is based out of. So give me a second. Hold on. We'll be right back. Hold on. I'm not going anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Let me find this picture. This picture is everything we're gonna be talking about today. I thought I had this. See, it was fine. I didn't have my stuff prepared. I just assumed it was ready. I knew I was gonna have issues. I was traveling when I was doing this stuff though, so I knew yesterday. I was like, man, I'm gonna need to go through and look at this stuff. And sure enough, here I am having to go through it because I didn't go through it yesterday. But I'm gonna find it though. We're going to find it. And of course, now that I want it, it's not. I hate when you go through your history and stuff. And it's never in the order that you actually looked at things prior. That's okay. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find it. I think this is it. Around the world through our network. I think that's it. And he's ministered to our church in an amazing way. What I love most about Michael Jr. is his passion for Jesus. What I'm doing is I have a web series out called Michael Jr. Breaktime. I literally am asking this question: what can I give to this audience? Literally, in between the jokes, I'm asking, what can I give to this audience? Right in between the gap. There we go. This picture. So that is a picture of a vulture and a little girl. And what's going on in this picture is the little. I think that's it. Let's make sure it's saved this time. Okay. All righty. Sorry, y'all. I went past a minute. So we lost some folk. It's okay. They'll come back if it was for them today. And I'm gonna describe the picture for those. We try to put these up on the Patreon for you guys as well to be able to see these things, right? So this is a picture. This is the picture right here, based off of a comedy special, believe it or not, by a guy named Michael Jr. But he's a Christian comedian or clean comedian, whatever you want to call him, on here. Yeah, difficult doesn't mean it shouldn't be addressed. So yeah, so this is the picture I was looking for. How you doing, Sister Tracy? How you doing? Tahiti, yeah, we're back. Oh, thank you, Bounty, for having people tap the screen. We're gonna talk about they have their reward. So we're gonna call this. I was gonna call this save or the S word that means somebody taking their life, but we're gonna call this something different, right? And this picture to get you started, right? To get us started, Thank you, Sister Barbara, for making sure people stay tuned. Appreciate y'all. So this people, just to get us started, is something that's crucial. Now I'm going to explain the picture. And actually, this picture got a Pulitzer Prize. I don't remember the year it got. I don't remember the name of the person who's the photographer, but this picture got a Pulitzer Prize. Pretty much one of the highest things you can get, right? One of the highest awards, especially in photography. Pretty much one of the highest rewards you can get. This is a picture of a little girl, right? So this is a little girl, just in case you don't know. And this little girl is basically pretty much without anything, including even clothes. And she's attempting to do something that would save her life. If you notice in the picture behind her is a vulture. It's a hard picture to look at. Moderators, we're going to deal with some tough stuff today. Please have my back. I know y'all always do. I'm just reiterating, right? So you said this picture was not taken in response to anything. I don't comprehend what that has to do with what I'm saying, but hear what I'm talking about, okay? So you said $50 says this photo had food. Yeah, okay, yeah. So we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about this, right? So this is what we're gonna talk about, right? So instead of calling this what we were gonna call it, which is save, or the S word, which means somebody offs themselves, we're gonna go ahead and say that we're gonna call this they have their reward. Okay? They have their reward. And you got to be careful what your reward is, what kind of community, culture, humanity, different things we talk about quite often on here, right? That's being part of communities. I don't know how to pronounce that. Born is at the end of it. I'm sorry. The God is hello, Calvin Mills. How you doing? Right. So, so these are the things that are on here, and I apologize since I came back. Now they're making it to where my signal is very low, but prayerfully you'll be able to at least see what's going on. So they have their reward. They have their reward. So I want to give you two things we talk about, right? So there's a picture, a little girl naked in Africa trying to make it to a particular place, and then there's a vulture in the picture, and then of course there's somebody taking the picture. We can see that there's something problematic with that mindset, right? How you doing, Sister Dawn and Sister Round, if I didn't say so already? So you said photographers will provide when they are there. They do this to bring awareness. Well, once again, so we want to learn particularly about this, because before we put our story or his story on instead of the story, let's actually see what happens. So I'm going to present two things, right? Because see, what's going on is what happens oftentimes in life, where we could make sure that we look at what's actually happening to see if we can grasp what's going on. We start to put our own inflection on it, right? But I know what happened in this story, right? So I want to give you what happened in this story, right? My wife and I were listening to this and did some research and things on this to make sure that these things we're going to tell you are in fact true. The person who took this picture, this Pulitzer Prize award-winning picture I'm presenting on TikTok, it basically, once again, is a little girl, obviously emaciated, and is about to die. Now, how do we know she's about to die? This is not Photoshop, by the way. You can look this up. This is a real picture that won a Pulitzer Prize. You can probably just look up Pulitzer Prize over and over and over, and you'll probably see a bunch of pictures that pop up. You'll probably find this if you're somebody that doubts that what I'm saying is true. And you can tell the little girl is about to die because nature tells you so. Not only the way that the little girl's body is shaped, not only the fact that her stomach protrudes out, even though she doesn't really have food, not only the way that her arms and legs are very, very thin, right? She's emaciated. Not only the fact that you can see that there's not a lot of food, or at least a lot of things that she can eat around her, but also there is a vulture, and a vulture by its nature shows up when what to clean up. It's important to get that. We're going to revisit this thought process, but a vulture shows up to clean up. Okay, glad to have you come over. A vulture shows up what to clean up what's going on. How you doing, Sister Lori? I apologize. We were supposed to pray for you, Sister Lori. Matter of fact, let's do this real quick. You're the same Lori that was on YouTube earlier? Well, you know what? Regardless, we were supposed to pray. So I don't know if the Lord's going to see this or not. If it's the same Sister Lori or not. Let's just say a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, our Sister Lori is dealing with something specific, dealing with issues with family coming against her, family not going with things or whatever, not knowing what to do. We simply just come into agreement that she be in your will, that her family be in your will, and that anybody who's in your will, they cannot be plucked from your hand. We thank you for your protection right now. In your helper's name, we pray together. I apologize for that. I just realized I didn't do that during the early rising session. Glad you came back. Thank you. So we have here specifically little girl She's bent over, arms like this, legs tucked in. Vulture showed up because it's the vulture's nature to clean up after somebody's died. It respects the life enough that it will allow the person to die, right? And how you doing, Brother Cliff? Will allow the person to die and then will do what it's called to do, right? So the history of this picture, amen. The history of this picture, his story says that this is a great thing, right? So his story says that, hey, we need to bring awareness. That's all that this is about. And the Pulitzer Prize is given to the person that brings this about, right? So somebody would say, well, no, they have food, they're going to help her, they're going to do this, but that's not the story. That's not actually what happened. That's not actually what happened. See, his story is different than the story, right? That happens all the time, right? His story says that there's 46 presidents. The story says there's 53, right? His story says that you need to be a victor, not a victim. The story says that the word victor means that you wipe people out and you have to have victims in order to be a victor, right? The story says that the name might be Jesus. Or, I'm sorry, his story says the name might be Jesus. Yesus, Yesu, half man, half Zeus, a nickname given. The story says his name is Yeshua, right? His story says that everything is fine and that we need to all be American, right? His story says that. The story says that until you change the definition of American, even the Eurocentric definition of American was a copper-colored person indigenous to the Americas. You can look it up in Black's Law Dictionary. So we have another thing where we're looking at something. If we're not careful, we'll see his story. It will act like it's the story. How you doing, Tracy Brown? Thanks for being on, right? So his story says this is something to bring awareness, show that there's hunger in Africa. We need to make sure that we help out. Everybody says, give that man a Pulitzer Prize. He's brought awareness to what's going on, even though many people probably never seen this picture before. And if you've never seen this picture before, then how much awareness did he really bring? And it wasn't something for all of mankind. It wasn't something so that he would have his reward. How you doing? I don't know if I'm saying this right. It's a Trebron DeVerney. I'm not even sure if I said that correctly, but thanks for being on. Hopefully I got close, right? So what is the story of this picture? I just gave you his story. His story, a picture speaks 1,000 words, but it doesn't give you the whole story, right? So what is the story? The story is that this photograph is taken of a little girl, once again, who's dying, right? I'm just trying to show you the story versus his story, right? I'm not trying to, and look, I know, like I said, this could be triggered. So that's why I said trigger warning. I'm gonna say it a few times during this trigger warning. Like this is a difficult topic to deal with. However, I want to open your eyes to the fact that we're doing a lot of things just to make certain demographics happy or pleased with themselves, but we're not actually helping each other, right? We're not actually helping each other. You said they don't interfere because they want the photograph that are raw and dramatic, which this is. Yeah, now watch this. So this is the story. This little girl without parents for whatever reason. I don't know if her parents left her, if her parents are dead, if her parents sometimes in these situations all over the world, parents get so hungry and stuff themselves that they can't take care of the child and they decide sometimes they got too many children. They're like, okay, they got to start choosing children. And so children have to fend for themselves. This child could have been lost. I don't know. But here's the story is that this little girl is actually trying to get to some food that's not too far off camera. But the people who are there are not allowed by law to come and get the little girl. She has to make it to them. Exactly. Okay, Stacey. Yeah, so you know the story, right? So see, here's somebody who can verify what I'm gonna tell you is wrong or not, right? That's very true. That what you're saying is exactly right. So you're on the same page than I am, right? So so this person who takes the picture came there to a specific place near the food, not way out of nature somewhere. I don't know the story. Once again, somebody just verified what I'm about to say is true. So you can listen if you want, or you can just come on and use ad hominem. Either way, I'm cool. Like you telling me I don't know something that I've actually researched that obviously you haven't doesn't mean much to me. But thank you for being on and verifying that what we're saying needs to be said, right? So this little girl, right, is trying her best to make it not that far off camera. For whatever reason, the law says that the people who are right off camera can't come and get her. If she can make it, they can feed her, clothe her, do all types of stuff. She's struggling doing everything she can. This vulture, who's in its nature, has shown up behind the little girl because the vulture realizes she's probably not going to make it, even though she's that close. right? Now you would think humanity would say, bump it, I'm gonna break the law, but that's not what they do in this situation. The woman that took this picture later adopted a little girl. That's not true at all. Maybe you're thinking of another picture. There might be another picture, but that's not this one. That's not this. Matter of fact, if you want, look this up. There's it's called Life Church here. This is where I saw it. That's the channel, and it's called The Right Response with Michael Jr. Right, who's a comedian who was trying to tell people his testimony that he actually was told by the Most High, show people this picture in the middle of a comedy. And he was like, "That's weird. I'm not going to do that." But he showed him this picture. He said, after this, everybody got quiet. They got somber. They talked about it, and then they were able to laugh themselves together and actually have a higher plane. And they all started helping people together because they saw this picture. So you can go look for the video yourself, and you can look to see if what I'm saying is correct, and you can do the research. Okay. But anyways, right? You see what I'm saying? Like literally, people could actually look behind me. It's very weird that people won't have to be right that much that they won't just look and see that this is simple research. Like this is simple research, But nevertheless, right? You can go ahead. There you go. Right, go look it up for yourself. Listen to this. The comedian's actually pretty funny, even though this is more so him giving testimony to being funny. But go listen to this. It's called The Right Response with Michael Jr. Right, and once again, the place he did it at was called the Life Church, and that's the name of the channel as well. All right, you got that? So you can go look it up for yourself, see if I'm lying, all these different things. All right, now that we have that there, you can do simple research for yourself, go look it up, come back, right? And then you can actually listen to say like, oh, he might actually go there, right? Enlightenment, I'm right on topic where I need to be. We got tons of time. If you don't have time, I apologize. Thank you for coming on, but this is something that I have the ability to be over. So thank you for being on, right? So now, once again, little girl, vulture right there. Now, the person taking the picture, here's the deal. It's not just that the person took the picture. Everybody's getting frustrated by that. I would like to tell you that the person who took the picture waited 20 more minutes to take the picture than when he first saw the little girl, because he said he wanted to get the perfect shot. Right now, the vulture is there. He sees the vultures there. They weren't allowed to feed them. Okay, so that still speaks to the fact that, hey, something's messed up with this situation. But remember, the little girl's trying to travel and pulling herself, trying to get the food that's not that far off camera. So the people there, they could have said, you know what, bump it. She about to die. Vulture's there. We're going to go get her. But why is there a law? Think about this. Why is it lawful that somebody can come there and film you and even have the stuff to help you, but they can't stop the vulture from getting to you if you die? Right? I'm not talking about, that's like somebody being like, well, that's not your child out there. Yes, not your child. They're dying, but that's not your child or whatever. But, they're bleeding to death or whatever, but you're not their parent. You're not this. And there's a law that says that you can't help them. Well, fine, I'll go to jail. And when I go to jail because I helped that baby, right? When I go there and they say, what you in here for, bruh? When they say, what you in here for, bruh? And I say, man, it was a child that was bleeding. It's like, I know CPR, right? And so I even teach CPR. Right. But if I teach somebody the CPR, we have to tell them, hey, you can't just go to somebody, even if they're dying, you have to ask them, do you want help? Even if they can't respond, even if their eyes are closed and they're non-responsive, you're supposed to say, is it all right if I give you CPR? If you give first aid, is it all right if I give you first aid? Right. But it's, at the end of the day, I got to make a decision. And even if that person's going to wake up and sue me, I have to make a decision. Will I save them or will I let them die? Right. You said the baby's actually okay. That's great. And thank you for letting us know, right? Still doesn't mean that somebody couldn't have helped the baby, is the point. You see what I'm saying? So just because there's a law that says, right? Because remember this, not everything, it's not even law, it's legal. Remember, not everything that's lawful is legal. And remember, not everything that's legal is lawful. Right. And we don't really, in all honesty, nobody really knows that the baby's okay. We're kind of on that part, we're going off of what people say. But the same people that say this baby could be okay are the same people that let this picture take place. Now, once again, the person who took this picture, it does happen every day. And that's why we got to get better, because the same person who took this picture said they waited 20 minutes. Right. They waited 20 minutes before they took the picture because they wanted to get a great picture. That's what they said. They won the Pulitzer for this. So they knew if I could, this suffering of this baby, right? They could have taken the picture 20 minutes ago, but they needed to get the perfect picture. And really what that means is because any photographers on here back me up. I'm a semi-photographer. I'm not really a photographer, but I know enough about it, got my camera and all that stuff. It's kind of sort of a hobby. And because of what I do, I have to make sure, that I present this, right? So in this picture, right? Yeah, the picture is important to human life. But once again, as a photographer, do you take one picture? Do you take two pictures? Right? Yeah, Elohim will judge. Right? But once again, that has nothing to do with whether or not we should help, which is the overall thing. Should we help? Is your reward to get the picture? Is your reward to help human life? Exactly. He saw two animals, not a baby. You getting ahead of my message. You already know what I'm gonna say. So at the end of the day, this person took multiple pictures. And if he had a great camera, which he probably did if he won a Pulitzer, that he kept his finger down and the pictures kept flowing. And he took another one, got different angles. He went in different ways, and none of the angles showed the place that she was trying to get food. How you doing, Sister Shima? Right? None of the angles show the food, right? You don't even see that she's on her way. She's this close to trying to get food, and they're not going to touch her because they're not allowed to. So she gets to him. He's not going to touch her because he's not allowed to, but really he wants to get the best picture, right? Okay, it's not about a black or white thing. You're coming in late. I already said I don't know what happened. Obviously, she was failed by more than just the photographer. You're absolutely right. So if you want to say her parents are failures, if you want to say really, if we want to get to it, right? If you're trying to say black people failed her, and then why you're getting on a white person, which is probably what your thought process is why I'm talking. No, don't make the assumption that just because I look a certain way and just because I'm Swiss, I'm West African, don't make it a point to be like, oh, here comes somebody trying to say, well, white people are evil, because I don't do that here. Don't do that to yourself, because I wouldn't do that to you. You said I'm really making a bunch of assumptions. I'm not. I'm not making assumptions. Did Kevin Carter kill himself? Right after this, 6 months later, did he kill himself? Did Kevin Carter feed the little girl? Did Kevin Carter wait 20 minutes to take this picture? Kevin Carter admitted all these things. Did Kevin Carter get a Pulitzer? So what am I doing to help? Oh, we do stuff all the time. We feed people in different countries, including her country. We make sure that we teach people. We teach people in our university, and we do so via donation. So people aren't going into debt. And sometimes people don't even pay for the stuff that we give them so that they can go ahead and still be certified and get degrees and things like that. We're making sure they're working on getting land. We share each other's businesses so that people can actually use their businesses instead of having to go across, and we help each other to grow. We do things where we make sure we come to community. I travel as much as possible to make sure that I see these things up close and also go to people. We feed people, we clothe people. We do natural medicine, which my wife makes from scratch. We teach people how to do those things as well, and make their own tinctures and things. Right now, if you'd like to help those things instead of making the assumption that we don't do anything, then you can go ahead and help us. But it's interesting that your first question wasn't, how can I help help you and making sure things are better. Your first question was to try and go and hammer them and say, how can I say that you don't help? That in and of itself shows, right, why we need to talk about this picture. Because you're trying to use me saying that we can all be better to try and say how I'm trying to separate it. And that's not the case at all. You said black and white is outdated. Sure. The second that people stop denying people and killing people because of color of skin, that's the second we can say it's outdated. The second that it's not 2022 and they're still not going to Georgia to free colored people from slavery, chattel slavery, we can say that it's outdated, right? The second we stop saying we don't see color because we feel guilty because we didn't love people because of how they looked before, because I don't care if you're an Irish lass, I don't care if you're a Kemetic queen, we should love one another. Okay? So the second that stops happening, then we'll stop talking about it. Until then, we should start talking about how to literally love the hell out of people. Y'all see? I told you. All we're doing is talking about a subject, and we can't even get to it. But praise y'all that a bunch of people are listening. Praise y'all that we're having the conversation. But a lot of people are already frustrated because I'm simply trying to say we should be together. But because I'm trying to say we should be together and it's not through somebody else's lens, right? Then somebody says, oh, well, we got to stop you. Right? We should be about being together. This person got their reward. They got a Pulitzer, right? And they got a Pulitzer making sure that watch this. Even if you say I'm wrong about Kevin Carter, and I know absolutely nothing that I'm talking about, question for you. If you were in Africa and you saw this little girl and you saw a vulture behind her, would you say, I'm going to take pictures of her for 20 minutes? Or would you make sure she got fed right away? Would you shoo off the vulture? If you say you would take picture of her for 20 minutes, then guess what? I apologize. And this probably doesn't mean anything to you. But guess what? Like, you and I can't really be in the same space, because if I was in that space and I saw that little girl, I don't care if I would get in trouble and get jailed and never be able to come out of prison. I would make sure that she ate. I would make sure she was picked up. I would first make sure that she got a hug. I'm a father. I'm a father. So any of y'all talking about all this stuff, I'm a father. Like, my children would never even be close to this, right? I would lay my life down on the line to make sure that they didn't even miss a couple meals, right? Let alone, right? Well, I don't know, a couple meals, but y'all know what I'm saying, right? I might be being too, because I need to be around for my babies, but I would put my life on the line. They wouldn't get to a point where there was a vulture. And so, yes, these parents, who knows if the parents died? See, nobody even knows that. Who knows what happened? Who knows if the community ostracized her? Who knows if somebody said she's a cursed baby and they left her out there? What I'm saying is, we have a choice. What is your reward? Is your reward to sit here and say that the picture was more important, so take 20 minutes? Or is it to pick up a little girl? Right? That's what we're talking about. Why are we arguing about this? You hear what I'm saying, people? Why is your first response, what are you doing to help? I'm doing this to help, because we're arguing about picking up a little girl. That's what I'm doing. What are you doing? We can go further into how we feed people. We can go further into how we've made sure that little babies in Kenya are not sleeping on the ground anymore, and how we've actually shown pictures that you can look up for yourself, to where you can see pastors that are thanking us and showing you how the babies aren't there anymore. We're into making sure that we do those things. We feed our own community. We support our businesses. We're making sure we teach people stuff. We have stuff right now, right? Okay, fine. You're not allowed to help. Guess what? I would go ahead and do what I'm not allowed to do, because everything that's legal ain't lawful. And natural law says pick up the baby. You hear what I'm saying? I don't care. That's what I'm saying. See what we're having an argument about? We're having an argument about human decency. You hear what I'm saying? Human decency. Y'all are the people that tell me, don't worry about black, don't worry about white. I'm not even talking about black or white. Y'all interjected that. The baby happens to be black. Who cares? It's a baby. If it was a white baby and it was emaciated and it was a vulture and it was in Europe, guess what I would do? I would pick the baby up. And if they said I couldn't pick the baby up, put me in your European jail. If I was an African and they said I can't pick the baby up, put me in your African jail. If I was in South America and they said you can't pick the baby up, put me in your South American jail. I don't care. Right? Why is the reward okay that they got the Pulitzer and you're trying to defend the Pulitzer, but you won't defend the human life? We got to ask ourselves that. You say, see, somebody, obviously you've never been locked up in a foreign jail. Who cares? Who cares? I've been in jail before, and it was for something that I didn't even do. And while I was in there, I was still teaching and speaking things and positive things to people and positive messages and helping people now still to this day to transition out of jail and prison and all types of wild stuff or whatever to make sure that they go better. Who cares? Do what's righteous. Pick the baby up. Why are you arguing on behalf? Right? Here's the wild part. You keep talking about they can't help the baby. Could you have shooed off the vulture? Something? Did you have to take pictures for 20 minutes? Could you have found a way to get the baby to hold on to a rope and seen if they had enough strength that you could have pulled the baby? Something like, there's not even a thought that says, hey, you know what? What's legal is not right. We will go ahead. And if we all got to go down together, because once again, it's not just the photographer. There were people that were close enough that could have made sure they helped. But all of them said, we're not allowed to help. We're not allowed to help. What's always legal ain't lawful. Stop talking about nature and natural law if you won't do natural law. All right. I'm not saying that I'm not even happy that this picture doesn't exist. I'm glad that it does, because the same person who took 20 minutes worth of pictures to give you guys this so they could win a Pulitzer is the same person who had that same mentality. The problem is if we want to go out of his story and go into the story, here's the next part. Y'all ready for the next part? The next part is that he did that or whatever, and he left. So all y'all saying the baby was saved, this and that, nobody knows. We hope and pray that the baby was saved. Right? But he got on the plane. came back to the United States of America, made sure that through the corporation of the United States that he went to an organization, got his stuff published. Everybody liked it, right? Everybody what liked it. You think, oh no, people didn't like it. No, everybody liked it. Why? Because the people who give the Pulitzer Prize, they were like, yo, this picture, this is what's up. So guess what? They gave him the Pulitzer Prize, one of the highest rewards they can have. What happened 6 months after that? He took his own life. He took his own life. So you who are busy saying that he did what was correct and he did what was righteous and that he did what he's supposed to do, he didn't believe that. He didn't believe in what you were saying. Uh-oh. I don't know what just happened. We were talking too much about this. Now I can't find the picture anymore. How about that? Let me try something real quick. We done talked the picture down. See? Ah. Let me try this. Let me try something again real quick. I'm gonna be right back. Hold on. Okay. All right. Oh, it says we got a better signal. Oh, we went back to a so-so signal. Right. Right. You said it's a broken government, this, that, or whatever. Fine. By the way, see, this is the thing that gets me. Now it's going to become Africa's a broken government. We don't take the onus off the person. Right. There's people in Georgia right now that look similar to this. Y'all going to help them? I just crossed country. There's people over in Arizona that look similar to this. Y'all going to help them? Right. There's people over in Cali that look like this. You going to help them? Like, it's weird what we're doing, but because people want their reward, it's hard. You know why? You know what? You know why it's hard? Like, people don't want to admit the guy killed himself 6 months, right? Can you imagine what it was to see this thing that everybody said rewarded, defended, do all these things, and the reality is he needed somebody to tell him, "Hey, you can be forgiven for this," but you can't be forgiven for something if you say that it's okay. People were so busy telling them, don't worry about being a victim, be a victor. When the reality is, once again, look up the definitions, look up etymology. You cannot be victorious if you don't have victims. It's impossible. Y'all just don't know how words work. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how words work. I'm sorry, you said money meant more, praise and recognition meant more at the moment. Yeah, exactly. There's lots of children in America right now that look similar and all this stuff, but we talking about broken government over there, broken government over here too. What I'm trying to tell you is that the vulture was more in its nature. The vulture respected life, so wasn't going to touch the little girl until she died. The person taking the picture and the people that could have fed her and came over and saved her and scooped her up didn't respect life and decided it was more important to take a picture. What if in the 20 minutes that he was trying to take this picture, she died? Ask yourself that. Would it have been a better picture if the vulture had been picking at her? Thanks for the love. Appreciate it. I never seen that one before, Billy. Thank you. The cake thing with TikTok. I've never seen that one before. Would it have been better? You hear what I'm saying? Would it have been a better thing if the man who took the picture, right, waited till she died? He waited 20 minutes. 20 minutes. She ain't had 20 minutes. He said he had to get the best picture. And you know what they did? They said, we'll reward you for waiting 20 minutes. We'll give you a Pulitzer for it. Yeah, there's an unspoken law. I get it. Right? But that's their law. That's what's legal to them. But everything that's legal is not lawful. Once again, it's natural. Okay, maybe she died, maybe she didn't. I don't care about that. Let's say she survived and she's thriving. Let's say she even is thankful that her picture is around for everybody to see for the rest of her life. Does it mean that somebody shouldn't have picked up a little baby? I don't care. Like, see what I'm saying? What is your reward? Are you more afraid about going to jail than you are about saving a life? Now we got to have a conversation. See, people get on me. People get on me. Are you more concerned? Real talk, right? There are people who, because of what I talk about, have came looking for myself and my family. simply because I've said that everybody in the world should get along, and that if everybody should take care of the community, so should we. And people come looking for it. So what? Come on, right? Like, why are you more afraid of somebody saying that they might put you in prison than you are about some, oh, well, I don't know about this. And you see what's going on with Brittany Grimes and all this stuff, and about prisons that are outside. Who cares? What reward do you really want? Somebody waited to get this picture. And look how close the vulture's getting, by the way. Vultures first start off further away. Thank you for the love, appreciate it. And then they come in closer. This vulture realizes. See, I need you to comprehend. See, because we don't think animals are smart. So let me help you by something else. Right? Because we don't think animals are smart. I love animals, right? I love animals, but I love human beings more, right? But I know enough about animals to know this, that when it comes to a vulture is not going to come to something if it thinks there's a threat. Okay? So the vulture, for whatever reason in its mind, you come to whatever conclusions, right? But the vulture knows enough to know that, hey, for whatever reason, I feel like this person who's taking a picture and these people who're supposed to feed and give medicine and help and all this stuff, I feel like I can get close enough to this human to pick him off once they die. In other words, this vulture in its mind has said, I got some kind of experience. Y'all don't want to talk about this, but let's be honest, right? The vulture says, I've got some kind of experience that tells me that when I see people taking pictures of people who look like this, I can get close. Now, y'all don't want to have that part of the conversation. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. Right? Y'all don't have that part of the conversation. But real talk, this creature says, I got something in me says I have the experience. Okay, who cares if the baby didn't die? First of all, I care that the baby didn't die. Praise y'all if the baby didn't die. We don't really know for sure. But what I do know for sure is that this guy waited 20 minutes to do this, and this vulture knew that I could get this close because it doesn't think the baby will be helped. They took pictures to show what's going on. Sure, take a picture, even if that's your goal. Take a picture. You got a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, 14 minutes, 15 minutes, 16 minutes, 17 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes, 20 minutes, and you still don't help the baby. And I just counted in seconds, kind of, sort of. I counted Mississippi's with saying minutes. That was 20 seconds. Did 20 seconds make you uncomfortable? And not helping the baby that's got a vulture next to it? What would 20 minutes do to you? See, here's the deal. People are trying to hit you with something, right? They're like, well, you weren't there. You weren't there. You weren't there. Were you there? And if you were there, would you have been comfortable watching somebody taking a picture of a baby? If you were, then that's fine. To each their own. Everybody got their own culture. But in my culture, that is terrible. Matter of fact, it is terribly disgusting. Did I see other pictures he took? No. Did he get a Pulitzer Prize for those other pictures? Or did he get a Pulitzer Prize for this picture? Did they say we're rewarding you because of this? Once again, here goes somebody. Oh, how much you gave then? Check, man. Check our website. Check our story. Check our people to see what we give to the community. Right? I promise you, there ain't nobody that's working harder for the community than us. I promise you. Like, I'm not saying people don't do more as far as more money or something like that, but I promise you, ain't nobody giving more effort than us. So you got to get yourself together if that's your question. If that's your question, it was going to keep being, well, what are you doing? I didn't take the picture, yo. I didn't take the picture. Question, how much do you think that baby weighed? Question, how much do you think that baby weighed? Do you think it'd been difficult to pick the baby up? Question, how much do you think that somebody really, like, for real, do you think that anybody in the government was going to be looking around to be like, oh, don't touch that baby. Don't pick it up. Don't take some water and just put it in her mouth. See, a lot of y'all think it's because you think that she's an animal, or even if you don't think so, but y'all think human beings are animals. So for you, it's survival of the fittest, Darwinism. Do you think that if watch this? Do you think that if somebody in that government was there and saw that baby like that and was about to die, not talking about because y'all think the government is warlords. That's not even what's going on in this area. If it was like that in that area, they couldn't have been there to take pictures. Even if she couldn't digest food. Even if she couldn't digest food, pouring water on her skin would have helped. Putting water on her tongue would have helped. We're in a natural medicine over here, so I know about dehydration. Oh, it's you cool? Don't know. I don't know. Right? Something. If you put water in there long enough, water would have caused her cells to be in a position where they could digest, even if her stomach couldn't take the food. Right? But because people are into Darwinism, you say what? Well, survival of the fittest. Well, there's laws. Well, it's not natural law. It's not natural law. Natural law. This is why it says stuff when y'all be talking about your Bible and stuff like that. You said you don't know, you're not a scientist. Cool. Right? You don't have to be a scientist to know how water works with the cell. You don't know how. Matter of fact, if they knew what they were doing, they probably could have seen some of the food that they had and probably could have rubbed it on her skin, depending on what it was. And her skin would have started operating different. Right? And once again, the person, he took his own life. He got the reward he thought he wanted, the Pulitzer, but he took his own life. And you can say I'm lying about this person all you want. You can say, well, what about all the other pictures he took? I'm not here to say that the person who took the picture is going to hell. I'm telling you that this person was going through hell and nobody said, I'll put some heaven on it real quick. Let's make sure we save her life. That's hell. This right here for her is hell. Fine. Her parents weren't there. Fine. They were wrong too. If they weren't dead, you know. But what's wrong is that this girl is going through hell. Why are we talking about the photographer more than the girl? You know why? Because the photographer is more important to you. You got to defend them. You know why? Because sometimes we're not going to see this but one of two ways. Either you're looking through this through the prism of the little girl, one of three ways, really. You're willing to see how both parties felt, which we should, and people don't want to do that. You're willing to only look at how the little girl felt, and therefore you're saying the guy and everybody that defends him deserves to go to hell. Or you see it through the lens of the guy and you say, hey, well, if the girl lived or she didn't, so whatever, but he couldn't help her, this and that, whatever. But why is it that why do you think there's even laws on the books? Because what you're talking about, you think this is the country's law. You're talking about international law. You're talking about even unspoken laws in between photographers, which, by the way, we know that stuff is a lie too. You don't think so? Y'all remember anybody old enough to remember when it was either National Geographic or it was Disney, one of the two? Right? Anybody old enough to remember when they told y'all that lemmings jump off of a cliff? Anybody old enough to remember that? You said seems like people are more concerned about the photographer taking his own life instead of her losing her life in front of an audience. Yeah. Anybody remember that when they taught us that lemmings? I used to believe that there was a video game that we used to play 5th or 6th grade in computer class or whatever they call it, computer hall or computer class or something like that. Right? Yeah, we used to play that game, Lemmings. And you would have to do all this stuff and you try to get through the ground and you'd have to do all this stuff and you have mines and bombs and all this different stuff to help you to make it to where the lemmings could keep on going through or whatever. And they wouldn't but this came off of a principle that said that lemmings would follow another lemming even off a cliff. You said he could have won an award of a picture of a dying dog. They don't play about dogs. Yeah, see, you even getting ahead, right? I'll go right into that in a second, right? But lemmings, they taught you that. The reality is that lemmings don't follow each other off a cliff because they're smarter than that. They taught you animals were stupid, right? I think it's spelled Lemmings. It's not like a lemon like you eat, but lemming the animal, right? And so lemmings, they said follow each other off a cliff. That is a lie, right? It was either whatever one it was, Nat Geo or Disney or whatever. The people that were making the film actually kicked the animals off the cliff. And then they showed it as the animals followed each other off the cliff. they killed the animals to make sure that you got, that you made a hit and got what you wanted. They gave you what you wanted, right? They gave you what you wanted. You wanted to see that happen. You wanted to see that. You wanted to think that you were better than everybody else. And they taught you that in school. So they can't give you something different than what the curriculum says. The curriculum says that it's okay to think like that. The curriculum says it's okay to say that this little girl doesn't need to be saved. What about the fact that, you can look up stuff? There was 2 years ago that or 3 years ago, whenever they started showing how they make the picture. Matter of fact, I used to watch on Netflix all the time how they'd have they'd show the behind the scenes stuff, and they would actually show behind the scenes that they were actually like taking beetles and stuff, sometimes dung beetles, and they'd have them fight each other, and they'd have I forget what the other kind of beetle was, and they were actually manipulating the beetle, and they had them in a shoebox that had a green screen behind it, or even a picture sometimes behind it of nature, where it looked like you were in the mountains, and they actually had like a little shoebox that they had put all these little plants and stuff in, and they put the beetles, knowing the beetles would fight each other. They fought each other in front of you in a little shoebox, but they put the camera in a place where you thought what you were seeing was out in nature, but the reality is they controlled it. Right? Photographers like to take stuff. When a photographer takes pictures, they try to stage, exactly, that's a great word for it. They try to stage things, and they try to make sure they have as much control over everything, from the lighting to the way the earth looks to the stuff or whatever. Now, this is not fact. This is not even a proper guess. I'm just telling you even where my flesh goes. My flesh says that, for real, it wouldn't be beyond me to think that the photographer might even walked up and just been like, let me take her arm. And let me just put it right here. Like, she's too weak to move anyways. Have her in a position where it looks like she's praying. Now, I hope that didn't happen, but I'm just telling you, it's not beyond the pale of reasoning to me. How you doing, Sister Cynthia? Because that's what photographers do. And people call you ignorant when they don't even know the real talk. The person who took the picture didn't like the fact that he took this picture. And he's no longer with us. Not because he was killed. If you get my drift. Now I'm not going to assume it. That's why I say I don't know if it's true. I'm saying it wouldn't actually move me one way or the other, because guess what? He might as well dressed it, because he took 20 minutes to take the picture. 20 minutes to take the picture. You said this is even the worst picture he took? Probably isn't. But this picture is pretty bad. And people who want to defend this picture and say it was okay for him to take 20 minutes. May I do this exercise one more again, right? Let's say you said he took 20 minutes. Let's count 20 minutes as if they were seconds, and let's see how uncomfortable you are. Let's imagine that you're the one who's behind the person taking this picture. What if it took 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, still dying, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, still dying, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, getting worse, 13 minutes, 14 minutes, head not moving still, 15 minutes, 16 minutes, breathing heavy, 17 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes, 20 minutes. You're okay with that? You're okay with that? What if it was your baby out there? See, people don't want to do that, because if it was your baby, you wouldn't say that, right? You wouldn't say that it's okay that they left them out there. If it was your baby, if it was your baby out there, if it was your baby right behind me, right? If it was your baby right behind me, right? Your baby right here, right behind me in the dirt. And I just keep making this video for another 20 minutes. Your baby's struggling to breathe. I know CPR. I know first aid. I teach it. But hey, I got to get this live session done. People depending on me for this live session. I got to make sure that I bring things to I got to make sure you're aware of these things. I'm talking about this baby dying here. I can't be worried about your baby. If it was your baby behind me right now, I'm busy. Like it's against the law. Look, man, I'm making a video, and TikTok wouldn't want me to have your video. TikTok doesn't want little babies and videos and live sessions. They told me I'm not supposed to have them. So, if anything, I would just change. I would change the position of the camera. I'd make sure, I'm off to the side some more so that we can keep on having this conversation because I can't have the baby in my video. It's against the law. Why is that the argument? You have to ask yourself, why is that your argument? It runs deeper than what you think. See, if we can't get past the baby, I don't care what color the baby is. You know what I'm saying? Before somebody keeps interjecting that, I don't care what color the baby is. This man went out to Africa, could have went out to Mississippi. I don't care. But this man went over to Africa, said, I'm going to take a picture, saw a baby that was struggling, saw a vulture that knew the baby was about to die. The vulture knew the man wasn't going to help, so the vulture is close to the baby, right? The vulture is close to the baby because he doesn't think that the person is going to help the baby. So the vulture is getting closer and closer. This man took 20 extra minutes, knew that the place she was going to get food was basically, within sight. He could have picked her up, took her there, and got yelled at and arrested, whatever. But he was looking for the perfect picture. Once he took the picture, he didn't help the baby. So even if you believe the baby got help, he didn't help the baby. Took 20 minutes to find the right picture, came back, got a Pulitzer Prize, which means everybody, when he came back, said, man, thank you for taking that picture, to bring forth awareness. When guess what? We wouldn't need awareness of this baby, right? Well, there's other babies there, so we need somebody to give us awareness. Well, these people have been telling you that they've been sitting there under colonial oppression for generations. What do you mean you don't have awareness? Did you not believe it when the locals told you? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You mean to tell me that nobody from this baby's tribe or country or culture, nobody of the baby's skin or hue or thought process, nobody of the baby's age has ever once said, you hear what I'm saying? You think nobody has ever once said that that they need help? You think you weren't aware of the fact that this baby, you needed to see this baby before you acted? That's why your Bible says stuff like, to Thomas, when Thomas said, I need to see the holes in his hand and the piercing in his side, and then Yahshua shows up and he sees him and he says, okay, Thomas, he said, it's great that you believe because you've seen, but he said, blessed are those that believe and they haven't seen yet. If they heard it, they still needed to act. You've been hearing about this. This is crazy to me. You telling me you've never heard about babies needing food in Africa? There's no way. There's no way that I'm the only person that has ever seen commercials in the middle of the night or even in the middle of the day talking about, hey, do you have, 30 cents a day? It could be the difference between a baby being like this and a baby being like your baby. You never seen any of those? Y'all, you telling me $2 a month can ensure that this, you never seen any of that? Come on, you were aware of it. Talking about warlords, this and that, or whatever. If they want to take over a country, they take over countries all the time. That's why Kwame Nkrumah got knocked out of his own country. That's why Lumumba got knocked out of his own country. Y'all forget that Fidel Castro, he came to the United States of America first. The United States of America said that we don't want you to become like us. He said, we'll go ahead and be Democrat, or the Democrats. He said, we'll be into democracy, right? And they were like, no, we didn't want your side to win, so we'll just leave you alone. That's why he went and looked for other people. And that's why a lot of African nations, y'all don't know, a lot of African nations went to Castro, and Castro sent his people over to fight on behalf. He sent their own Secret Service to fight against the American Secret Service. That's one of the reasons that they hate Castro to this day. Castro was sending his secret, or not his Secret Service, I'm sorry, his basically his special ops, his Navy SEALs, his Green Beret. They were fighting against yours. They were fighting against the CIA. Because the CIA didn't want African nations to have power. The CIA was working with countries like Belgium to make sure that even though Lumumba got power, that they killed him off and then put everything back raggedy where it was. They were working with France. The CIA and France worked together. France handed over the rule to the CIA. The CIA put Papa Doc and Baby Doc in power. If you even know what I'm talking about. Right? It was the United States of America that said, we're going to go ahead and put we're going to go ahead and literally have, thank you for the love, have parents who are parent that can't read or write, have them sign an X, and then come into their houses, take their babies, take those babies straight to the hospital and make it to where those baby girls cannot have babies. That was America. That was your people. That was your country, who you keep saying is the best thing in the world. What about Tulsa, Oklahoma? That was America, who bombed them and made sure they did that. What about Philadelphia in the 1980s? That was America, who did that. Just like Russia has done bad, Joseph Stalin was a thing, right? We're not going to act like he wasn't, and the people behind him, Khrushchev and all these other people, weren't doing raggedy stuff. We're not going to act like there wasn't any Idi Amin. I'm not saying that just because you're black, you can't do any bad. There was an Idi Amin, of course. Papa Doc and Baby Doc, who I mentioned already, if you missed it, those were black people, right? Haiti, right? But we're not going to act like this stuff is where it is. But people want their reward. What's your reward? Your reward is, oh, you know what? I feel some way about it. Maybe I'll give a couple dollars. But you're not really trying to solicit change as much as people are trying to come on me and be like, well, what you going to do about it? Let me give you an example. This is something we didn't have signal, right? But I still made sure that I was ready for these live sessions, right? So we didn't have signal, but this was something that I made sure I was ready for. You ready? We were at something called Tallulah Gorge. It's in Georgia. And it's a huge gorge. Matter of fact, I showed you guys a picture just to show you again so you can get the sense of it. My son, right here, is sitting here looking at part of it. Right, it's an amazing sight. Nothing like the Grand Canyon if you've seen the Grand Canyon, but still magnificent. Right, ancient Cherokee land, and so we went there. Right, so this person right here that I showed earlier, you might not know her name, so allow me to show you her name. Jane Hurt Yarn. She married somebody named Mr. Yarn. Mr. Yarn is extremely rich. Yarn family still has a bunch of money. So this woman right here, right, Mrs. Yarn, she's known for protecting Georgia wildlife and Georgia, I think even maybe some Alabamian wildlife as well, but just definitely Georgian wildlife, and she wanted to make sure that the shores were protected. Okay, do you know what made her say that she needed to protect the shores? Yeah, many don't want to see it, right? Many don't want to see it, even if it's right before your face. You know why she decided, Mrs. Yarn? Respect. She wanted to save some things, but you know why Mrs. Yarn wanted to make sure that she protected the shores? Would you like to know why? I'm prepared today because I meant to do this yesterday. We didn't have signal. So then when I saw this, I was like, oh, this goes perfect. Thank you, y'all. This goes perfect with what we were going to talk about. So, right. So, but Mrs. Yarn said I need to protect the shores. You know why? Because Mrs. Yarn, and there's a video, by the way, you can look up. Once again, this is her name right here. Look her up on YouTube and watch this so you can see if I'm lying. You can do some research for yourself, see if what I'm about to say is a lie, right? But Mrs. Yarn, who gets all this credit for all these different things and, lived from 1924 to 1995 and has this long list of accomplishments and everything that she did, right? You'll see all these different things about that, right? Well, I'll actually get into that part in a second. Mrs. Yarn had gone over to Africa with her husband. Matter of fact, I don't think I took a screenshot of that part. No, I didn't. Okay. So Mrs. Yarn had gone over to Africa with her husband, right? And seen similar things to this. But she also saw how her husband and other people were hunting animals. And she was okay with them hunting animals and doing things over there. But you know what she told her husband? Mrs. Yarn saw the atrocities that were going on, and she turned to her husband and she said something profound. She said, dear, I need to make sure that I spend money on protecting Georgia wildlife and the Georgia shores. You know why she said that? She said, I need to protect the Georgia wildlife and the shores because, and same to you, Sister Dawn, right? Yeah, it's a little heavy today. I'm just saying we got to have this stuff in. I'm just like I said, trigger warning. I know this isn't easy to hear. Mrs. Yarn said I need to make sure that I protect the Georgian shores. Why? Because I don't want what's happening in Africa to ever happen to our people, into our land. So what's happening over there, hey, that's them. But what's happening over here is not going to happen to us. They spent a month, 2 months, 3 months over in Africa, and she said it changed her perspective. And so she said she needed to make sure that she helped her people to maintain their land over here because she had gone over there and had seen the atrocities. She had seen the baby over there, right? And we've given her her Pulitzer Prize. She had seen the babies, she had seen the atrocities, she had seen all the wild stuff, she had seen the animals being killed. She saw her husband going wild over there. And she came back and she said, no, I'm not worried about this. I'm worried about protecting this. And so she came back and she made sure that it's protected. And so if you go to Tallulah Gorge, which is now considered to be a state park, a Georgia state park, this is Cherokee land that was taken from other people. While you're busy, while people are busy on here telling us, right? You heard all these people that come on. Oh, why are you talking about this? You don't know what you're talking about, this and that. All these people who would defend that. Here's another person who went over and decided, hey, I need to make sure. I need to make sure that what's happening to them never happens to us. And she poured money into it. She was passionate about it. She poured money into it. She saved the shores. How much money did she pour into your people? See, look, they have their reward. She got her painting put up. Her husband, who outlived her, he was talking a lot of nice stuff about her. Right? They have their reward. Jane Hurt Yarn. She has a reward. You go to Tallulah Falls, Tallulah Gorge, and somebody will, you'll run into the picture or somebody will say, hey, you need to know about her. Is she rewarded by making sure that you get better? She went over and saw what was happening to you, and she came back and she said, it won't happen to us. So when you go to a state park, that state park is Cherokee land. They did it to you, but they make money off of it now because it ain't gonna happen to us. It happened to you, but it ain't gonna happen to us. I'm not even saying that that was her heart, but her mind didn't recognize that what was going on. Like a lot of people who come on here, how dare you? Why are you talking to people like this? Why are you talking about people? You're a racist. You're a reverse racist. All this. I wasn't even the person that mentioned black or white. Y'all did. I just finally got to the part where we can start talking about black or white. And I'm not even saying she's a racist or what y'all define a racist as. I'm not even saying she's that. I'm saying that it's not on her to make sure she takes care of you. She saw what was happening to you. Hear what I'm saying? Right? I'm not saying she saw this exact picture because this picture came out, I think, after she passed away or around the time she passed away. So she had been to Africa years before, but I'm saying she saw what was happening to you, even though that's not all of Africa, but that's what we're presented. And she never, and she didn't say she's going to help you. She said, I'm going to help us, right? She said, I'm going to get you with that doctrine of discovery and make sure that, see, I discovered what's happening to you and see, it's my burden. This is historical documentation. This is stuff that you live by and don't even know, right? It's our burden to ensure that we manifest our destiny across the United States. And even if we have to make sure that we teach the origin of species, the theory of evolution by means of natural selection, or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Wait a minute, you didn't even know that that's what Charles Darwin wrote. Right. And my wife brought out a great point that when you look at this version of it, not version, but when you actually look at the full title, you'll actually see that it's Linnaean. Right. Did y'all catch that in there? Fellow of the Royal Geological Linnaean, etc. What is Linnaean? Linnaean is Carl Linnaeus. Carl Linnaeus is the person who came by and said, I'm going to put people in classification. He said, I'm going to put you in a classification. You didn't even know that, though. You thought that Charles Darwin wrote the book because he honestly believed in evolution. Charles Darwin wrote the book to make sure that you understood that you needed the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life, or the struggle of survival for favored races. That's why he wrote the book. Read the book again now, if you've ever read it. Some of y'all haven't. And his cousin's the one who wrote the book on eugenics. Eugenics is written on this, but eugenics, technically, his cousin took not what Charles Darwin wrote. He liked what his cousin wrote, but he actually went backwards to the origin of it. He said, let me see what Carl Linnaeus wrote. That's why he's Linnaean on here. That's why it says, and watch this. Who supported him? He's a fellow of the royalty backed him up on this. Geological people who had said, oh, this is just simple geology that it exists. And what? Linnaean. Sure, races are made up, social construct. Who made it up? People like Carl Linnaeus. Who made it up? The Pope, who started the Crusades because he said, hey, stop killing each other because I have power over all of you groups in Europe. Go and kill those black and brown people over there. They're infidels. I didn't make up racism. I didn't write a book on it and then try to mask it by saying it's the origin of species and to tell you that I'm writing this so that you'll preserve the favored races. Now, if Charles Darwin was white, who do you think he thought the favorite race was? I didn't make up the race. As a matter of fact, the race means a competition, Racism is a system based off of competition. The only reason why you put colors with it is because, and now black being on the bottom is part of making sure that certain people on top can be competitive. But I didn't write it. I don't believe it. I don't want it. I'm with you. Somebody made up the social construct. Why are we talking about them? Somebody will say race is a social construct. It's made up. Who made it up? We gave you all that 5-piece. I'm loading it up now, right? For those who weren't able to join us live last night. But we gave you all that 5-piece last night so you would comprehend what's going on. Lost cause, right? That's one piece, right? Second piece, doctrine of discovery. Doctrine of discovery says what? If a white Christian male doesn't live there when we find the land, we discover it, right? What else does it say? The white man's burden. The white man's burden is literally something that was taught to people because a lot of people didn't believe just because they were white. By the way, they didn't even know what white was at the time. Somebody had to explain it to them. That white's not even really a color. White actually means the absence of color. It actually means clear or bright, right? But basically, like somebody had to tell them they were white, and they were like, well, I still don't think I should be over somebody just because I'm white. And they taught them, they said, no, like it's our burden to make sure we have our culture, our culture put above everybody else's. That's what civilization is. You have manifest destiny, which even Rudyard Kipling, who came from the white man's burden, wrote America. That's the author of the Jungle Book. And he said, please make sure you teach people about that. That is our responsibility to make sure we manifest across all this land. And then you take this land, since you're going to be the next world power, and you manifest it around the world again. And then what? Charles Darwin, around the same time, Origin of Species. And when did he write this? He wrote this, I believe, in 1869, right? 1859, excuse me. So what happens right after 1859? Right after 1859, Civil War, Manifest Destiny. We're having a fight over making sure that this union goes across the right way. I'm not giving you anything that's out of context. That's why people can look at this picture and defend it. This isn't even a real person. Do you know that if you look up Black's Law Dictionary, which is a reference point that's still allowed to be used in legal and lawful situations in court, look up in Black's Law Dictionary, look up the term Negro, colored, African American, black, all that. You will discover that according to Black's Law Dictionary, that all of those people who call themselves that are considered to be artificial people. Did you know that? They're considered to be artificial people by law. That's why I'm black all day, every day. But you bring me in the courtroom, guess what? I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be black in the courtroom in the West, especially. I'm not going to be a black man. I'm going to be a what? Non-citizen national. I'm going to be a natural man. Why? Because a natural man is actually considered to be a human being, but she is not considered to be a human being in court in the West. So of course somebody can go over there and take a picture of this. This is why in Belgium, before they write Belgium, I've been to Belgium, by the way. People talking about stuff that they ain't been to, they ain't seen. Right? People talking about stuff they ain't seen. Right? I've been to Belgium. Right? And you go to Belgium, they don't like us over there. You know why? Because they had a king there. King Leopold I wanted to have some power and stuff. King Leopold II is the one that actually did it. They weren't supposed to go over to Africa like the other European nations because Belgium didn't want any part of the slave trade and stuff. They didn't want any part of owning people. They were trying to be separate of it, right? Their government, their parliament had even said, we're going to be separate of it. But the king was like, no, I want to get in on that. So he found a place. They found a place that had rubber. That's why they wanted to go to the Congo, or now what's called the Republic of Congo, right? So he went there. He saw what's going on. He basically hired his own country's troops, right? And he paid them with his own stuff. He made up a fake corporation, just like the United States is a fake corporation. How you doing, babe? My wife is on the Honorable Alma. Thanks for being on. Once again, you check her out everywhere at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. So you go over. So he sent him over there. And he said, what? Let me send these people over there. Right? But I got to first, these our fighters, our soldiers, don't really want to go over there, and they believe these are human beings. So he had to actually teach them that they are not human beings. He had to go ahead. They had to go back to boot camp. They had to retrain them and say that, hey, you're going to go over to the Congo and you're going to see people that look like this and look like this and look like this. But the reality is, they'll talk. They sound like humans. It sounds like they have language, all this stuff. They might even be able to repeat your language. But that's nothing more than like an animal. They're like a parrot. They're like a crow. They seem to be smart, but they're really not smart enough. They're really not like human beings. They're not like you and I. And so they retrained them, then sent them there. And that's why they could do the atrocities. That's why they could cut off the arms of children and limbs of children and of adults. That's why they could hang them up. Some people describing it as if there were so many people hanging, it was like clothes hanging from from a clothing line to dry in the sun. And the smell was putrid. That's why if you go to places like um, um, Elmina Castle, I've been there, right? My wife and I have been there. You go to Elmina Castle in Ghana, right? Modern day Ghana, and you will discover that when you go over there, you can still smell the humans that were slaves hundreds of years ago. You can still smell them. When you step into the prisons or when you walk by where they kept the women, or on the other side where they kept the men, when you walk into the even a little bit when you're walking up the steps to make it into the governor's house, because where the women were, they would be walked up and escorted from there where they were to the governor's house, so that the governor could have his way with them, or men sometimes even he'd have his way with too. You can still smell them hundreds of years later. Real talk. Yeah, in Belgium, they're still selling chocolate hands to this day, right? They have things in Brazil, right? And you've heard it probably in the States. Forgive my language, but I'm just telling you what. Like they have stuff called nigger toes, nuts that they say look like a black person's toes. Why do you think that they have that? Why do you think that they have stuff called nigger heads or nigger heads? Sell them in Europe, and some of the places that they tell you in Europe aren't supposed to have any problem with racism. They still sell things called that. I'm not talking about they call it that in on the street. I'm talking about that they call it that on the wrapper. Oh, by the way, in the United States of America, don't they have something called King Cotton brand? Some of y'all grew up with a lot with King Cotton brand. Some of y'all don't know about it, but go look up King Cotton brand. King Cotton, they started saying cotton was king in the South during the Confederate times, because they thought that nobody around the world was ever going to come against the Confederacy, which nobody did. Nobody really helped them either, but they figured people would come to the Confederate defense before they come to the Union's defense. Why? Because the Confederates was where all the cotton in the world came from. You said, why can you still smell it? No, you can still smell it because when you go to the castle, you can smell it all over the place. Remember, the slaves that were there, they were actually um so you might not notice if you've ever been, or you've never been, or if you've never seen any videos of it, right? The slaves that were there, they actually were in their own fecal matter. The fecal matter used to raise up to where like they be like wallowing in it. Not wallowing, but maybe let's say up to their calves at least. um they would burn women in the sun. If you go there, there's a place where they had just the women, right? When you go to the castle, I'm not talking about what I heard, what I read, what I saw in a video. I'm telling you what I saw. There was a place where the women were kept, and they had a cannonball, right? That was really heavy, and then they had a chain, and they would put the chain around a woman's foot, and they would let her basically be in the sun in the concrete. She would cook to death, and they would let the other women see it. Why? Because there might be a woman that said, "I don't want to be, forced into sex with the master of the castle." And so, since she didn't want to be forced into sex, they would just say, "We ain't gonna fight you," because women could throw hands, right? But they're like, "We're not gonna fight you, or just kill you, and do nothing like that. We could just shoot you, and that could be it. But we're gonna make sure that it's done in the worst way possible. You're gonna burn to death. You're gonna cook on the concrete." And then when other women saw it, you might not want to be forced to lie down with somebody, but you probably don't want to be cooked either. You can smell it. You can smell the remnants of it. You can smell urination. And this might not make sense to some people, right? In the spiritual, but I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you what it is. You can feel the people. You can feel the people there. You can feel, like they put you in the one of the things that they do, they actually put you in the prisons that they put the men in, because some of the men didn't either want to listen, or they didn't want to be forced to be lay down with the person either. So they had a place, and there was just a hole. There was a hole that light came through, like this small. Everything else in there was dark. When they opened the door, you can see a little bit in there. So you see all these writings. And people didn't have sticks and stuff. So they probably did this with their nails. Maybe even took out teeth and tried to carve things into the wall. But you could see them prayers asking for saving, prayers asking that these wicked people be destroyed, whatever. You could see the prayers carved into the walls. And they would just put men in there and they let them starve to death in the dark. So they went crazy and they starved to death. So if you were a man and you didn't want to cooperate, we just throw you in there. People see you and hear you going crazy, rather. Then they drag your body out when you're dead. They still do the same thing today. You just call it, what is it you call it? You call it the hole. You call it solitary confinement. Back then, they called it what it was. We don't throw you in this hole with a little bit of light, right? Just like in the solitary confinement, you see light coming from underneath the thing so that you have this hope, or that you go crazy sometimes because you want to get out into the light. Right. But going back to what I was talking about, people don't want to hear that. But move back some. Right. Let's move back some. Right. Mrs. Yarn said, I went over to Africa and I saw the atrocity of these people. I saw what they were going through. And my goal wasn't to help them. I didn't say, let's help these people. She said, my goal is to make sure that we make sure this never happens to our people. So she bought, her and her husband, they had bank. They started buying the coastline. Yeah, they want to get in the light, right? So they started buying the coastline. They bought the coastline, learned about what they owned or whatever. And then eventually they said, hey, Georgia, you know what? You can go ahead and have this and you can make money off it. And they kept the stuff in-house. They kept it in their culture. They kept it in their community. So when you go to a state park, you go to these state parks in Georgia, you go to some of these state parks in Alabama and stuff, you're going to state parks that they bought. They bought it for themselves. So you think that the state bought it, right? Because it's state owned, but somebody else who had power. See, the state always falls under the corporation. Once again, what's the definition of capitalism? Capitalism is defined, right? This is that you can Google it right now if you'd like to right after I say it to see if what I'm saying is so. Capitalism is defined by when politics and economics are used to control trade and industry. That trade and industry is wielded by the corporation and not by the state. Shalom, Moselle. How you doing? Hey, how you doing, Auntie Mary and Sister Mary? Right? That's what capitalism is. So the same woman went over to Africa and saw things similar to what we've been talking about today, saw similarities in what we're talking about today. And she said, and what she said was, I'm not going to help them. I'm going to help us. I'm not going to help them, right? I'm going to help us. And so now if you go to Cherokee land that was stolen in the 1600s, how you doing, Minister Select Joseph? Right? You go to Cherokee land that's still being made money off of today. You get to see her picture and her name, and they list her. They list her stuff, and you can't make up some of this stuff. I was telling my wife, like, you can't make. I was laughing at this. You can't make up stuff. Like, this is in the same space that we're in. Before you go walking around the Cherokee land and all that they tell you is now United States owned and stuff like that. You got to look at this, right? Here's another one. Y'all think that people be joking. This is the same place, right? Same Tallulah Falls, right? Same Tallulah Falls, right? That you get to see all this stuff in the Cherokee land, right? Same thing that you got to pay to get into, right? So that you can make sure that they're making their money. Same place where you have Mrs. Yarn, right? Same place that you're going to see Mrs. Yarn stuff all over the place now, right? Same place that you're going to see all her accomplishments before you walk through and see not what the natives look like, and kind of sort of see, I think they got like one or two pictures of black folk, but you're going to see what they think you should know about their story. Well, that was just his story, right? Well, what is the state bird of Georgia? See, y'all think I'll be making this stuff up, right? And people think that, but this stuff is plain as your nose on your face. Can anybody tell me what is the state bird of Georgia? I didn't know this till we visited this place yesterday, right? What is the state bird of Georgia? They want you to know this. We don't know. We think this is just stuff that people make up. We're not making up somebody's sinister behavior. Thanks for being part of Community Water for, right? It's the thrasher, but it's not just the thrasher, right? It's what? I wish I could make this stuff up. Right? Like the same place where this woman said, hey, what happened to these people? What happened to the natives? What happened to the Africans? What happened to this? It's not going to happen to us. The same woman who went to work with Jimmy Carter to make sure that they set this thing up around the world, around the United States at least. Like that's the state bird. But then somebody said, see, so even if you don't believe in it, there's a spirit. I think Mrs. Yarn might have meant well, but there's a spirit attached. Mrs. Yarn just might not be aware of it. Just like a lot of us are not aware of it. I know this is tough to talk about today, but going back to what we were talking about, I need you to see, right? There's a reason why it's okay to go and do to your people what they did. Hey, how you doing, Jeremy? There's a reason why it's okay for them to go into your community and take a picture and wait 20 minutes. But you know what? I praise Yah for this, that even the person who took the picture learned from this. Now, I'm not thankful that he took his own life, but somewhere in me, there's something that says, you know what, Yahweh, my prayer is that this man in his last moments had a conversation with you while he was on his way out, whatever, because you exist outside of time. Y'all could have had an eternal conversation in 2-3 seconds that he might have had. I don't know. But whatever he had, may you guys have had a conversation where he was able to repent, ask for forgiveness, and say, I'll never do it again. Because my prayer is that he can still be grafted in. See, I'm not stopping that, oh, he deserved to go to hell. That's not what this is about. Everybody else wanted to take it there because a lot of people see this. And when you see something like this, you say, what is it that I can do to help? You feel bad because you're like, I could help. If I was in that situation, I should help. You feel like that's some people feel like that's their ancestor. So we should have helped. I feel like this is my ancestry. We should have helped. We're dealing with a spirit. That's why I said before, if somebody does me wrong or somebody does me dirty, I realize it's not them. It's a spirit they dealing with. Yeah, he was convicted. And we don't want to talk about that. But the man who took this realized I shouldn't have allowed this to happen. That's why we were going to call this. I'm not going to say it out loud, right? Because we're not supposed to say this word apparently on TikTok at all and on YouTube very little. But I was going to call this saved or the S word. S word meaning taking your own life. You can save somebody or this can happen. Why? Because if we focus on saving, see, a lot of people say, I'm not going to say, a lot of people have a spirit. I got stuff to do. This person could have done better. This person's always a victim. I'm a victor. I don't have problems. I'm more than a conqueror. Why can't you conquer? I'm that. Like, we have weird ways of being able to make sure that it's okay to not help. But when we don't help others, we actually end up harming ourselves. If we're not going to help somebody else's mindset, then we're going to end up harming our own mindset. Some of us are living with things that we convict ourselves for, self-condemnation that we should be free from because we still haven't repented from a mindset of saying that it's okay. We're living in cognitive dissonance. Really, what happens in people is they have this conversation that goes back and forth. Thank you for the love. We had this conversation that goes back and forth. Oh, well, I did the right thing, right? Because it's about me and I need to survive and I need to do the best thing for myself. But, this person over here, they are struggling. But I probably should have helped him. But I'm not saying throw your life away. I'm not saying this guy should have stayed there, got a house. I'm not saying he should have adopted the girl. What I'm saying is pick the baby up. That's why I asked earlier, how much do y'all think that she weighed? She ain't even weigh that much. Look at her condition. You could have picked that baby up with one hand and took her over. Right? But when we don't help people, we hurt ourselves. It's not just that we're not hurt. It's not just that the person's hurting. We hurting ourselves. You said on another level is how the government waited and watches to take from the weak. I mean, yeah, you can say that too, right? But I'm gonna tell you something. Even in that, even if we want to go there, guess what? The vulture's only doing what's in its culture. The vulture's only doing what's in its nature. Oh, thank you, Mac. Appreciate that. Right? Like, the vulture's only doing what's in its nature. This is why you got to separate yourself from somebody that tries to tell you that your nature is based upon something that says that this animal is more important than you, or you're just as important than it because you come from the wrong favored race in the struggle for life. You see this? What is our sister? What is this daughter? What is this person who should have been a mama? I don't know if she survived or not. Maybe she is a mama. But what is this daughter? What is this baby trying to do? What is she trying to do? She's what? She's trying to struggle for her life. She's trying to get to food. She knows where the food is. She can smell it. She can see it. She knows that if she can get to it, her life will never be the same again. She can survive. That's Darwinism. It's supposed to happen in Darwinism. You're supposed to take a picture of it because you don't see her. Somebody mentioned it earlier, right? You don't see her as any different than the animal because you think you're an animal. They try to teach that to children all the time. I got to break down to Solomon every time he hears that on some video and stuff. Well, we're the same as apes. All we did was evolve. Nope. 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 Like we could go there, but y'all aren't using what y'all think you are. You're using Darwin. Darwin specifically wrote in 1859, around the same time of Doctrine of Discovery, around the same time of White Man's Burden, Lost Cause, all these things. He wrote this book, which his cousin would follow up to make sure that it was just as Linnaean as his, right? To make sure it was just as Linnaean as his, to do what? To say that we have to make sure that we follow what Carl Linnaeus wrote out, which is that certain races are on top and certain races on the bottom. So here, this guy whose degree is in being a preacher, he said there's the origin of species, the theory of evolution, right, by means of natural selection, or the preservation of favorite races in the struggle for life. That's all that's happening in this picture that we just described for you today. Exactly. If you say that the oppressor says that you are what the oppressor says you are, what the oppressor says that you're not even on the same level. See, you think when you hear evolution, because people are trying to change it now because they know that the narrative sounds crazy. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to say what? Hey babies, evolution's real, but evolution's about humanity, and you're human beings too. But that's a lie, because what you're teaching says that what? Not all humans are evolved. I was going to say created equal. That's what they say in their thing. But no, not all humans evolved equal. They're feeding you a lie. One of them is a lie. One of them is truth. The question is which one? Y'all don't want to talk about that. That's real talk, though. That's real talk. Don't matter how old the picture is. I don't know. I really don't. I just know the man got a Pulitzer Prize and killed himself for it after what happened, after he realized what he did. Right? By the way, not all white people are created equal either, or are evolved equal either. So you should probably be careful even with the evolution thing on that piece. Evolution says that certain people came from certain animals, which means that certain people deserve to out survive others. And so with the doctrine of discovery, with the white man's burden, adding that lost cause piece, and with the with the manifest destiny piece, all they're telling you is that Darwinism says that certain people should live, and everybody else, if you don't live as long, so what? It's a struggle for survival. For what? See, it could be interesting if it just says struggle for survival of the fittest, which he mentions in the book, but that's not what it says. It says the preservation. The preservation. You've got to preserve who? Favorite races in the struggle for life. That's what old boy did. Like my wife brought out last night. That's what old boy did in the Buffalo shootings. He told you. He wrote a manifesto. He wrote a manifesto and told you that he needed to preserve the white race. That's what he said. Now you're busy telling me that races don't exist. Okay, race as far as the social construct, I'd be willing to go there with you. The problem is you spoke life into it so much that now it's manifested. You said after he realized what he didn't do, he didn't attempt to preserve the life. Yeah. Yeah, or doctors that deny care or different things. Hey, if you out there like that, that's why they even got you, right? They gave you something that's not even real. It's not even natural. They said, stick this in your body. And then if you don't stick this in your body, well, I'm not going to give you care. Well, I believe that people are made in Elohim's image, but not everybody has the nature. Watch this. Let's go. Let's go to let's hit scripture up real quick. Y'all ready? Let's hit scripture up real quick. Paul already told you what's up. This is why we teach this. One of the first things that we teach to our to anybody who's going to be, preaching the word with us. Let's go to. I'm sorry, I did First Timothy. We actually need Second Timothy chapter 3. Second Timothy chapter 3. It says this. No, this know also that in the last days, that's the last yom, the last periods of time, what's going to happen? It says you're going to be in perilous times. They're going to come. Right? What's going to happen in these perilous times? For men shall be lovers of their own selves. This person taking a picture and won't even help the baby. Covetous, jealous of what other people had. Boasters, boasting. Look at what I did. Look at this picture. Proud, blasphemers, right? Blasphemers, meaning that they put themselves in the position of Elacham, or they say they can forgive as Elacham can forgive. Disobedient to parents. Don't listen to the parents. Unthankful, unholy, not holistic. Without, now here's the part that I want to hit you with. You read it, but you don't see it. But now maybe you see it. Without natural affection. Is there any affection in all the people that were trying their best? Right here we are in 2 Timothy chapter 3, starting at verse 3. It says, without natural affection. Is there anything in this picture that shows that anybody had natural affection? Yeah, this person wanted a medal. He wanted an award. He got its reward. It's without what? Without natural affection. There's nothing natural about letting a little girl die so you can take 20 minutes to take a picture. I'm not saying he let her die because we don't know if she died or not. People are arguing she did, she didn't. But guess what? At the end of the day, nobody knows. He doesn't know. All he did was he took the pictures, got on the plane, and went back. Without natural affection, that means no natural law, no nature. Nothing in nature protects him. Law does what? Right? Oh, that's great. I'm sorry, TJ, I missed that earlier. If I could but touch the hem of his garment. Yeah, that's excellent. Right? Law does what? Law protects rights. You can't talk about natural law without universal law. You can't even talk about public and private law without substantive law. You can't talk about the substance of a law without natural law. The nature, what was put in him naturally, should have protected him from just taking a picture of the dying little girl, and it should have protected the dying little girl from dying because nature was naturally in him should have said pick her up, but he's without natural affection. You're dealing with people who are without nature. They're talking about nature and they don't have any nature in them. If you're talking about legal before lawful, you're not natural, right? What's up with your soul? See, this is why people don't want to talk about soul. The word soul, by the way, literally means psyche in the Greek psyche. It's the word psyche. So your psychology, the logic of your psyche, the study of your psyche. If you go to a psychologist, you're going to somebody who's proficient at studying your psyche. They study your soul. Well, what does it speak of a man's soul? What does it mean to gain the whole world, to get the Pulitzer Prize, and in the end lose your soul and take your own life? All right, Rufus, we'll be here. Right? What does it mean to gain everything and lose this? And lose this? What does it mean to watch somebody trying to save their soul and you won't go ahead and help them? Yeah, what you do to the least of these, you've also done unto me. I missed that part too. Yeah, great. I'm not telling you anything that's saying that you're bad. I'm not saying that your people are bad. I'm saying when do we get to the part to where we say like something's wrong with your soul, something's wrong with your psychology. If you're gonna let this little baby die, you're gonna so go ahead and defend it by saying that there was a law that said you couldn't help. If it was your child, watch this. Some of you, if it was your dog and there was a law that said you couldn't save your dog, you would still make sure the dog survived. But there's little girls here. We're trying to find every way to defend this little girl's life not being allowed to progress. Right? What's the name of that law? Somebody, I always forget the name of this law. What's the name of that law that they had where it was okay to kill black children in slavery? What's the name of that law again? If somebody can help me out. I can't remember what that law is. Right? Well, while I'm trying to get that in my memory, right? Well, basically, long story short, the law was a law that said it was okay to kill black children. You know why? Because white women were tired of seeing their white husbands, right? Social construct, the slave masters sleep around with their animals, these black women. and they were having babies with the black women, and they were tired of seeing them. So when they would see them, they started beating the babies up. Casual Killing Act. Thank you. The Casual Killing Act. Look up the Casual Killing Act, and you'll see that it defends anybody, if as long as you're killing a slave because they need to be punished for something, right, or whatever, then guess what? Like, it's okay to kill them. They did that because women of the slave masters were literally killing babies. They were stomping them out. They were hurting them. They were beating them to death with stuff because they didn't want to see their husbands have children running around. They didn't go after the husband. They went after the children, right? Children innocent. But nobody's talking about the fact that this innocent child wasn't helped. Nobody's talking about that the father of the innocent child thought that the child could go ahead and be treated like an animal. I mean, it's just natural selection, right? For the preservation of favored races and the struggle for life. That's the name of the book. Yeah, gator bait. Same mentality. Hey, you can throw a newborn baby out to an alligator. It's okay. And if the baby's alive, and the alligator doesn't fully mess up the baby, the alligator doesn't get to the baby, or doesn't, and the baby's crying and crying and crying or struggling or making some sound, go ahead and throw it out there again. Why? Because they don't even look at them as a human being. Yep, abortions were first started, at least what you call the modern day abortion. It started off with them doing it to black women. They were supposed to be studying black fetuses. When black babies would be born, there were the father of medicine that they talk about, this new father of medicine, of modern medicine. He used to take our newborn babies and used to take this thing that basically looks like a hook. I forget what it's called, but something that looks like a hook. And he would basically take it and use a hammer, hit it, and puncture part of the stuff. It's kind of like a lobotomy because he was trying to test and see how from birth they could go ahead and take out any kind of stuff from the black man or black baby, even that male or female, but usually they did it with the males. They were trying to figure out how could they take out a piece of the brain or make sure that the brain stopped malfunctioning. Why did the brain? What was a malfunction? Matter of fact, I'm gonna look up this one right here. Somebody might know what this is called too. There was a saying that they had. Is scientific because science is based off of culture, right? Um, what is this word for slaves? A slave, mental illness who wanted freedom. They had a word for it. There it is, drapetomania. Thank you. Oh, you got it before I did. Drapetomania. 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 Samuel A. Cartwright. Go look up Mr. Cartwright. He's supposed to be this great man. He said that drapetomania, or they said drapetomania, was a supposed mental illness that in 1851. Now, when is this stuff? The Lost Cause, right? And Manifest Destiny and the White Man's Burden and all this stuff. And even the book about evolution by Charles Darwin, which is about the struggle for survival of favored races. When there's all this stuff written around? Oh, the 1850s. That's right. Yeah, that's right. All this right here. 1850s to 1860, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is before even the 1850s. Around in the 1850s, 1860s. Around in the 1850s, 1860s. Around written in the 1850s, 1860s. Okay. I gotta, because people say that we don't know what we're talking about, right? Okay. It said drapetomania was a supposed mental illness that in 1851, American physician Samuel A. Cartwright hypothesized. It was a hypothesis. Scientists. The hypothesis goes like what? If I believe that this is a mental illness, right? Or if black people basically don't want to be slaves, then they must have a mental illness. That's what a hypothesis is, right? Okay. So hypothesized as the cause of enslaved Africans fleeing captivity. The hypothesis centered around the belief that slavery was such an improvement. That's why they want you to be enslaved. That's why in their system, you are improved upon when you're enslaved. Right? Another wicked theory, right? How do you trust the wicked? That's why you got to come out of it. You got to come out of captivity. You got to stop being captivated. The hypothesis centered around the belief that slavery was such an improvement upon the lives of slaves that only those suffering from some form of mental illness would wish to escape. Now, question: do you think that was made by a slave? Do you think that a slave came up with that theory? Do you think a person suffering came up with that theory? No, somebody who benefits from slavery, right? By the way, you know that they said that in the Constitution that they believed that it was great for the bond. They didn't use the word slave, but what is a bond? Somebody who has a bond around them, like you have on your birth certificate, means you're a slave, right? Georgia and Virginia and Tennessee and South Carolina, and I'm getting one or two other states. But when they seceded from the Union, they literally wrote out in their reasoning, they said we're seceding or we're leaving from the Union. Secede means that the Union had some success, but now we're going to take it to the next level. And they said that the reason they were seceding, going to the next level and becoming the Confederacy, was part of it was because that chattel slavery was great for both the free and the bond. It was an upgrade. How dare you try to free black people from slavery? It's the best that they've ever been. That's what it says. That's why you got to be careful about being in debt or in bond or having bonds. Anybody who's in debt is a slave. Anybody who's a slave is in debt. Until you finish paying off your debt, you're enslaved to whoever you owe it to. That's why you need to learn about some of this stuff as far as sovereignty. Right. And hopefully I didn't have signal yesterday. So hopefully by tonight, I'll be able to give you guys a better, we'll be able to line out exactly what classes we're going to start in a couple weeks. So we'll start putting that out later today. Right. So it says Cartwright specifically cited the tendency to flee plantations that held the subjects in slavery in evidence. For why would slaves happy with their condition seek to flee? Think about the cognitive dissonance. These are the people that are supposed to be the people they uphold to us as being highly intelligent. This man straight up said one of the dumbest things. I'm sorry to say it that way, but let's just call it what it is. He said at least in our culture, he said one of the dumbest things you could ever say. Oh, okay, amen. That's what's up, Sister Cynthia. Yeah, let us know, and if you need any help, let us know. That's what's up. Right. So Cartwright specifically cited the tendency to flee the plantations that held the subjects in slavery in evidence. For why would slaves happy with their condition seek to flee? Because they're not happy. So in his mind, the slave should think like me, should think that they should be happy with being enslaved. If they're trying to get away from the plantation where we provide everything that they need, not really, but we provide everything that they need, then something must be wrong with them. Right. To these physicians, such people had to be sick, impervious to the natural order of things. But see, that's not how natural order works. What's in their nature is not in your nature. He published an article about Black slaves, illnesses, and idiosyncrasies in a widely circulated Southern journal, contemporarily reprinted in the South. Cartwright's article was widely mocked and satirized in the northern United States, which somewhat, but not all the way, because they had slaves up north too, but they always try to put that in there. It says the concept has since been debunked as pseudoscience and shown to be part of the edifice of scientific racism. Problem with it is, though, is that scientific racism still exists if you have something that you're teaching in school to your children called the origin of species, a theory of evolution by the means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. And they're still teaching your children things that are, and I quote, Linnaean, meaning that it comes from Carl Linnaeus, meaning that Charles Darwin comes from a school of thought that says that it's okay to say that certain people evolved from certain animals, and therefore certain animals or certain people deserve to have their favorite races. They deserve to have their races preserved, right, in this struggle for life. So if other people don't have their races preserved, it's okay. Let's see, these people have their reward. We need to stop giving them reward and go ahead and reward ourselves for having our own culture. As late as 1914, how late is 1914? Is 1914 500 years ago? Is 1914 400 years ago? Is 1914 300 years ago? Is 1914 200 years ago? See how people talk about that? You talking about stuff 500 years ago. No. As late as 1914, the third edition of Thomas Lathrop Steldman's Practical Medical Dictionary included the entry for drapetomania, defined as vagabondage. What is a vagabond? Let's look up the definition of a vagabond because you might not know. You've heard the term, but what is a vagabond? A vagabond is a person who wanders from place to place without a home or job. So, in other words, I've taken you, you're already scattered, right? I've taken away your ability to have your own home. I've taken away your ability to have your own jobs and to be in your work and to go away from jobs, really. And so you are a vagabond. The Bible even discusses people who are like vagabond. Matter of fact, Cain was a vagabond. When he went to the land of Nod, he called it such because he basically was a vagabond, had no real purpose. So they said drapetomania. They said that we had drapetomania. They said that you had no real purpose. Same to you, Sister Ron. Be blessed. They said you had no real purpose. You said evil people of 1850 don't speak for you. Amen. They shouldn't. Too bad that their literature is still taught in schools, though. So it's speaking for somebody and it's speaking to somebody. That's the point. We can say, oh, I'm not with the lost cause. And when you see Confederate Jacks everywhere, somebody is. Right? You can say, I don't care about the white man's burden, but when you see IQ tests, somebody is. I don't care about manifest destiny, but when you say, hey, it's okay to go ahead and take something that doesn't belong to you, then somebody is. If you say, hey, I'm not about the doctrine of discovery, but hey, if it's not, if somebody tells you something, then you got to make sure it's backed up and something that you deem worthy because it comes from your schooling, right? Even though the best schools in the world are not even uh not certified, but y'all know the word. I don't know why I'm saying what is it? School has to be certified, not sanctified. What's the word I'm looking for? Accredited. The best schools in the world are not even accredited. Right? Thank you. The best schools in the world are not even accredited. They're non-accredited because they don't want to teach the same stuff that you learned in school because they know it's foolish. The term derives from Greek drapetis, which means a runaway slave. So drapetomania means if you are a slave trying to become free, you have a mental illness. Mania means what? Madness. Y'all remember back in the day, the Macho Man, Macho Madness? Remember that he used to do this? Oh, yeah. You remember that guy? If you don't remember what I'm talking about, he used to do the Slim Jim commercials. He also had Macho Mania. He was mad. He was supposed to be foolish. And he was actually, if you know his life, he was really crazy in real life too. Right? That's what that word comes from. Dripethus is saying drapetomania is literally two words. It says a runaway slave mania is crazy, is madness, is in a frenzy. So for you to run away from slavery in this culture that you're trying to still be part of, they say if you try to free yourself from this culture, you're crazy. That's why there's terms, there's certain sayings that you've heard and you've never thought about where it came from. Right? That's why they say if a person who tries to represent themselves in court or a person that tries to represent themselves when it comes to your contract, they try to say you're crazy. Why? Because a person trying to escape slavery in this system is considered to be crazy, right? So when I tell you that you should escape a system that says don't save a little girl who's out here about to die, and even the vulture has enough sense to say, hey, if you ain't gonna save her, I'm gonna eat because it's in my nature to eat, but I'm gonna respect her life enough to at least let her die, right? And I'm gonna respect her life, and I'm not even afraid. I'm gonna get close. I'm close. I'm not even that far away, right? I know how close that is in a sense. Like the vulture's not quite as close, but there's a picture that I have of my son. I don't know if I even have it to share with you guys, but it's from when we were on our cross country trip. And we were able to stop at the Memphis Zoo, and he was able to go see. They have this kangaroo exhibit. You pay a little bit, extra, like $5-10. I think it was $5 a person. And we went back there, and you're able to see these different animals, right? I'm trying to see if I can find it. I might have it available for y'all. I might not. I want to make sure that. Let's see. I think I might have it. I got so many pictures; it's hard to see. We had a great time. We did so much stuff. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you how I know how close the vulture is, right? Because I've been close to other animals and stuff before too, but I think I have it. Okay, it's before we did this. Hold on 1 second. Oh, you know what? Because these pictures get so close, you might not even be able to see how close he was. Y'all might not even be able to see how close he was. Let me see. I'm looking for the kangaroo. I want to show you how close. You might not be able to see it. Oh, okay. I don't know if y'all can see it. Can y'all? Hold on. Let me see. Oh, you can't. Darn it. Okay, you can't see it. Dang it. Ah, I can't stand when they do that. They always blow these pictures up. So I'll show you where we were. But this picture basically was like, so his head is basically is crazy. His head is right here. The kangaroo is right here, right? But you can't see it because it blew it up. So let me do this. All right. So you can see we're getting closer to the kangaroo at this point, right? They let them go free. Now, not the men. The male kangaroos are like, I'm 6'5.5". The male kangaroos are almost as tall as I am. But the female kangaroos, I didn't notice. Like we actually got a chance to see male sea lions, and I thought all the sea lions were that big. We saw them in Cali, in San Fran, uh, at the harbor or whatever. But then um, when we got to the Memphis Zoo, we saw the female sea lions were significantly smaller. They're still big, but are a lot smaller, right? Well, same thing. So male kangaroos are like, almost as tall as me. They're like they can get up to close to 6 feet. 6'5.5". So they basically come up to like right here on me. But the female kangaroos, they only get to be about 3 to 4 feet. So my son like 3 to 4 feet. So we went in here and we got a chance to see him. This is something else, but as you're walking into it, we got to see the kangaroo. So you can see we're getting closer. You can't see it here, but basically the same distance between the kangaroo and my son is pretty much what you're seeing in this picture. Yeah, I know you can't see it in this picture because they zoomed it. Maybe we'll put it on. Uh, we'll put it on like Patreon or something for you guys to be able to see, and we'll put it with this picture so you guys can try to remember what I was talking about, right? But it's the same distance, right? They were really close. They were looking each other in the eye. And the kangaroo, she wasn't trying to eat my son, you know. You said screenshot the image and use it, then it will hold in place. You said screenshot the image, then use it. I don't know what you mean. Oh, screenshot it now and then use it. Okay, I'll try to see. Let me see. I'll try it. Let me see if it works. I'll be right back. All right, I tried two different things. Let me see what happens. Try two different things. Right. Yeah. So I tried two different things. Oh, yep, there you go. Okay, so I just make sure I take screenshots of the photos as we come on. That's great. I didn't know that was a nice life hack or a nice TikTok hack. Right. So y'all see how close they are? Y'all see that? And even got even closer. They could have got really close, probably to even them like being right next to each other, but I was literally like right next to my son pretty much the whole time. So she was keeping her eye on me, right? But that's how close they got. They were that. You see how close they are, right? Like he could have laid out and put his arm. Like if he kept his feet where he was and laid out and put his arm straight out like that, you could see like they would have been touching each other, right? So when they say so when I'm telling you in that picture that I can see how far they are, it's because of perspective, right? And in that situation, what I told y'all, I pulled the plug because an animal that close to my child, who's not even trying to do what this vulture is going to do, is going to automatically. So we were very slow. My son listened to instructions, and we were very slow, sneaking over and stuff like that, trying to get over to it or whatever. And he listened, and we crouched down and mimicked the position and everything. And so she felt comfortable and even came close, right? I'm not sure if this is the one that had a joey in her pouch or not. Probably isn't because those usually stay away from you. But he was that close, right? So and because I was that nervous of them being that close, I legit like just took a little like be in the same position he was, I took a little crouch closer. And when I did, she kind of was like, oh, okay. She slowly backed up, and then eventually she started hopping away, right? Yeah, because kangaroos, they do box. Now the females don't box as much as the men unless they have Joey. So that's why I was even more heightened, because they let the females run around. The females are cool, but if you get too close, especially if they got a Joey in their pouch, they're like, oh no, we gotta we might have to box if you get too close. So she was comfortable, she was cool, everything. And Solomon was staying still. He told you like he's very nervous, all this. So Solomon was staying completely still. But I'm telling you, I can, like, when I see this picture, like I go, oh, okay. Like she got the vulture got that close, right? Oh, your heart lands in Texas. Cool. Yeah, we just went through Texas, back and forth through Texas not too long ago. So right, but when we got that, so when I see that, I go, there's no way I would let an animal get that close to a child. But we're still defending it, right? For me, that's arm's length. I got it. I'm 6'5.5" with an arm span that's a little longer than, like, it's proportionate to my body, but it's probably a little longer than my body, right? So if I can go like this, and you that close to my child, like, or a child, you got to go. You got to go. So we can't defend this. But people want their reward. They have their reward. So I'm trying to show you this. We talked about this earlier. Now, remember I told you those who did early rising Bible study session as we get ready to take our lead, when we did our makeup session for this rising? Remember I told y'all what was up. Remember I told you, I said specifically, I said, you guys are going to see deeper than what other people do. Why? Because you got to teach people. Like David had to help Saul, and Saul was trying to attack him for helping him, even though David was simply being who he was called to be and looking out for his community and even blessing him with something that would help him. Remember, I told you that? And we were going to go a little deeper. Those of you who were on, that's exactly what happened today. I didn't say you're an evil person. I didn't say that you have no value, you ain't no good, you'll never be anything. I'm not saying you'll never be any better than your ancestor. What did I say? I said that stop defending the person who took the picture, who didn't help the child. Because if you won't help the child, you won't help yourself. And what happened? The person who took the picture got his reward and then ended up taking his own life. That's all I said was, hey, we need to do better and be human beings. Before you start talking about Yahweh, Elohim, your God, your deist, your deity, your Netjer, your Odin, your Thor, your Frida, whoever, right? Your Medusas, um, Madonnas, your Apollos, your Zeuses, your Netjers, your Noons, your Osirises, your Isis, your Horuses, or Herus, all these different things, right? Before you do all that, I'm trying to appeal to your humanity. But people shot me down because they said, how dare you talk about my humanity? You don't know my humanity. Well, you speak to your lack thereof. You're without natural affection. Oh no, I didn't talk about any natural disasters. I didn't even know of any. If I'm being honest with you, I had to look that up. You're bringing it to my attention. I had no signal yesterday, so I didn't even know there was a possibility of natural disasters today. So I'll look into it, right? But I'm just saying, like, people are more frustrated about the fact that I called out the fact that the journalist, or the Pulitzer Prize winning photographer, and the people that were there that could see the baby, that neither one of them decided that they should move to take the baby, and he waited 20 extra minutes. It's not because what I said is wrong. It's because what I said is something. Remember, we talked about that Saul, right? And we have this recorded on YouTube and on the Patreon, by the way. Not just today's, but today's message was on YouTube. But our early rising Bible study session, since it's a makeup session, we put it on YouTube for you all, as well. So you can catch up on it if you missed it, if you didn't remember, if you didn't know, because I didn't have signal yesterday to really give it to y'all. I tried to put it on the Google Calendar, but it was very last minute. So if you look at these things, right? All like Saul, once again, was somebody who was vexed, and David was using his gift to help them with what they're vexed with. What I'm trying to show you is that this is vexing, and this guy was vexed to the point where he took his own life. right? Yet if somebody attacks, and not even attacks, if somebody just mentions, hey, the guy took his life right after winning the Pulitzer, so obviously this wasn't something that made his life better. Somebody attacks him because they're vexed. We talked about that. So if you didn't get a chance to listen in, I would suggest go and listen to the recording, right? Go on Patreon, go on YouTube, listen to the recording, and you'll hear what we're talking about. I told you you're going to get a deeper meaning. If you heard that, you're going to see all the stuff that we just happened today. I showed you. I told you before it happened. We were in tune with the Holy Spirit, and we were already able to say, hey, it's going to be difficult today when we actually discuss this. It's going to be hard for a lot of people because we're going to give them something that's going to force them to have to look at themselves. And David simply was who he was supposed to be, but he was called to be who Saul thought he was supposed to be. Saul was called, but he wasn't chosen. Yahweh didn't choose Saul. Yahweh put Saul up there because the people wanted Saul. And come to find out, the people got more hell from Saul than they ever did if they had just let Yahweh be king. But since they had already started this thing, Yahweh said, fine, I'll give you a better model. He's not even a better person. David gonna cheat on his wives. So cheat on his wife. He gonna take Bathsheba. He gonna kill her husband. He gonna lose a baby in the process. His children are gonna take over. He ain't even gonna teach them all the way what he's supposed to teach them. But he's gonna have my heart. Something that Saul, who looked like he was handsome and he was tall and all these different things, but he doesn't have my heart. He doesn't have my passion. If you want to improve humanity, improve the passion. Yeah, growth isn't comfy, right? And we talked about that with the on Sunday with the 6 basic human needs. Number 6 is growth, right? Your passion, your heart. It's hard to talk about change if you don't have the heart for change. That's what happened when we had 1,100 people on at our high point today. It's hard. A lot of people jumped off. Why? Because I wasn't going to let go. Your passion is off. Your heart is off. And I'm sorry, somebody asked about YouTube. Look up on our TikTok channels. On any of them, you should be able to click on our link tree. And then when you click on that, you should be able to get to YouTube, right? But our hearts, our passions are off. So how are you going to change when you're not passionate? Why would you save a little girl? Why would you save a little girl if you're not passionate about little girls? If you're more passionate about the picture than you are about the girl, you would never save her. And if you're passionate about something that says that the little girl and the vulture are on the same level, then you would never save her. That's why your heart is crucial to this. When your heart is disconnected from natural affection, then it won't be in your nature to give affection. You said some don't even have the mind to accept wrongdoing, much less a heart to convict them. Yeah. It's what's in your passion. That's why, even though I fancy myself as a motivational speaker of sorts, and I do motivational speaking, I don't try to motivate people. And people say, well, what do you mean? Motivation, right? Those who've read the 21 days of motivation and 10 days of motivation and stuff like that, when that was written, you'll see in there, it says in the book that motivation is what? Motivation, right? TION makes it a noun. So if you're talking about motivation, motivation is the place that you've arrived at due to what motivates you. So if I'm coming as somebody to provide motivation, I'm actually trying to show you the person you are, the places you've been, and the things that you do and participate in, simply because what? You have been motivated by some things. You are passionate about certain things. Let's check your heart, right? I can't judge the heart. I won't judge the heart, but let's see if your passions are pure. If you say you're about helping children, but then you're defending the person who took this picture, then your passion is not pure. I can't judge it, right? But I can judge your action as far as whether it's what you say it is or not. See, I'm not judging. You're the one that has told me the judgment of your heart is you're about children. So you judge your heart. You told me your heart is about children. Cool. Let me see if what you do matches your passion. Let me see if what you speak matches your passion. Why? Because out of the abundance of the passion doth the mouth speak. Right? Out of the lob, right, comes the peh, right? Lob at peh, right? Heart to mouth. Out of the lob, what is the lob? The lamek, what the teacher teaches you, whoever your shepherd is teaching you, and bit, the son who comes out the right family. So if you have the passion of the son who comes out the right family, who is our great shepherd, then I should be able to see it come out of your peh. I should be able to see it come out of your mouth. Yeah, are you about that life? You will show me by your action. I will see really quickly. Do you believe what you say? Because your passion will show up. Your mouth will support your passion. Your action will support your passion. Your wallet will support your passion. The clothes you wear will support your passion. People be trying to. I'm not saying everybody fits the description, but let's not act like we can't tell if somebody is LGBTQ plus, and sometimes even what part of those letterings that they are by what they wearing. It's not too difficult. My son, see, we don't watch television like that. See, somebody, I got to be careful. This is the last time I talk on it. Then we're gonna take our leave because I know today we thank you, Holy Spirit, and thank you, moderator. So I'm not gonna push any further than this, right? Thank you so much. We did what we needed to do. We achieved it. People can look it up at this point, and we praise y'all for it. My son, we don't really watch television, right? So we're out in this place, which we can't get any signal. We can't get the Wi-Fi to work, nothing. But we got television, so we don't normally watch television. We ended up watching some stuff that we had downloaded on his iPad, so at least we could watch something pure. But at first, we were watching, television. So we end up watching television, and my wife is watching, and we all end up watching together that movie with whatever Ben Affleck's old girlfriend was, the one right before Jennifer Lopez or whatever. Um, I think her name was Jennifer something too, or I don't know, but whatever her name was, she was in some movie where basically like I think it was a remake, maybe it wasn't, I don't know, but it was a pretty decent movie. I think it's from 2004, and I had seen it before. I couldn't remember until we saw it last night, or not last night. When was it? Sunday, Sunday night, and we were watching it, and it's like she is a little girl. She goes in the closet or something. This guy who's like her best friend, but he's not popular enough or something like that. She like ends up like throwing a house down on the ground. Whatever. She wakes up years in advance. She's an adult. She wakes up with like an adult in her room and all this stuff, and she goes through this thing or whatever, going through a process of becoming a better person and realizing that she doesn't like the person she became in life. And the guy she wanted to marry ends up, he's already decided he was going to marry somebody else. Jennifer Garner. Thank you. She's his ex-wife. Okay, cool. Thank you for the correction. So the ex that she uses lay down with in the bed. Really, they all marriage. They're all married. If you having sex, sex is marriage, marriage is sex. 12 going on 30, 13 going on 30, whatever it was, something like that, right? But anyways, while watching it, a whole bunch of gay men in the movie, and I'm not to call them anything outside of what they call themselves in the movie, right? For people who get offended, right? A whole bunch of gay men in the movie, and then a whole bunch of commercials where it was gay or trans. That was the theme. Like the commercials, it was heavy in them, right? Gay or trans, right? So my son is looking at this. He's like, "Why is that man just like a girl? Or why is that doing this?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't like that." And why are they trying to? And because it was like every commercial was basically that. So we could, yeah. After a while, we were just like, okay, we can't deal with this, right? And then we tried to watch another movie. What was it? Tried to go to Disney Plus, which is always scary, right? But we tried to go, and we looked up. I looked up um, something red, turning red, or something like that, and we couldn't even get through the movie because the whole movie starts off with basically like, and I know it's, I guess it's a little girl movie, but the whole movie is like this girl, these group of girls, and this one girl in particular. I guess she's gonna be the turning red person or whatever. But everything's about, oh, look for this boy and look for that boy and look for this boy and look for that boy and look at this and look at this and look at this and all that. And I was like, yo, like we can't even watch anything without it being something that's outside of our culture, right? Like they were throwing it out there. Oh yeah, the movie is 20 years old, but Jennifer Lopez was on the cover of magazines like 5 times. Yeah, so they were. So my wife was like, it was almost like they were telling us that like Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck were going to come together. Because sometimes they put people together like that, right? But it was just wild. You said your son did that one time in the store when he was young and said very loud to the man. Yeah, But it's like, what is that about, right? He knows that's not his nature. We're not saying these people going to hell. We're saying that's not your nature. Natural affection. And when you talk to these people, because I talk to them, as much as everybody says, "Oh no, this and that," and I even have gay people, like there are people who have caked up for me before, especially before Kofi underscore 42 got taken down, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm a homosexual person. I listen to him all the time because I don't disrespect you just because I'm just saying in our culture it doesn't fit. It's not our gender. It's not our genre. It's not our style for our male and female, right?" But You can, but they make sure, as much as they say, don't tell us about this, don't do this, you hate us, blah blah, doesn't matter, whatever. All those things that were there. Oh, you got muted again. I don't know what you said or didn't say. Right. But the moderators just make sure they take care of us. We take care of each other because people have come on before and have taken stuff down or have lied on us or have said all types of stuff. So they try to make sure that they take, especially when today was an even hyped up one. We got up to 1,200 people at our height, right? So, or whatever it was. So y'all probably were in full mode today. I appreciate y'all. We have to start every once in a while giving y'all some kind of gift or something for all this. I know y'all are putting in work with this stuff, right? Trade Jennifer for Jennifer. Yeah. So, but that's all that I have, man. Like at the end of the day, it is what it is. They have their reward. So at this point, you got what you're going to get from it. Please check out my wife, Deanna Bahama, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. We will make up for yesterday, tomorrow. So I'll be on live on Wednesday. The people who are supposed to be doing our Wednesdays, I know we had a little break because I've been trying to get the schedule thing together and I don't want to keep throwing this stuff at you guys last minute, but I had an issue with the person I've been trying to reach. So I will talk to both of you sisters tonight anyways for our Hebrew Holy Days. Don't forget September 25th, the night of September 25th. We're looking at getting together on Zoom. Some of us even in person possibly, but getting together on Zoom for our festival of trumpets. There we go. Of shafars. Shafars. There we go. So we're looking at coming together for that. And so we'll have more information for that. That'll be on Zoom only. I'll make sure that that's put out in the Google Calendar invite for us. And so we look forward to talking to you guys very soon about that and giving you details. We appreciate you guys so very much. And we're honored and we're thankful for what's going on in your lives today. And we wouldn't have it any other way, even than to have people on here and try to break down every single thing that we're saying and say that it's not truth, because the reality is that it is. And that's why we present contextual facts. You give people contextual facts, they might not like it, but you can't argue that a contextual fact's not factual unless you're straight up gaslighting, or you straight up in cognitive dissonance, or you straight up in Dunning-Kruger effect. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for making truth your life. We will be back on tonight on Kofi _42 at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. We will be on for Patreon Kingdom. Patreon family will be on at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. And so remember, our makeup sessions for this week to make up for the two things that we're behind on. We already did a makeup session earlier today. That's on YouTube. That's on Patreon for you guys to be able to see. We're loading up onto YouTube last night's discussion of the 5-piece. So that should be on soon too as well. We're also going to make up tomorrow in the Rising at 6:30 a.m. Eastern New York time. We'll be on for another early Rise of Bible study session to make sure that these last two that we missed are caught up. And then on Thursday, I'm not sure when, on Thursday at some point. I was going to say it on Thursday early in the Rising. Problem with that is that, well, I don't know. We'll give people the opportunity. If y'all want to get up at 6, Thursday would have to be at 6, because we got early rise of prayer on Thursday at 7. So I'll come on early, but it's on Patreon only. So even if you miss it, you always can just go to Patreon to get it. But thank y'all. We appreciate you. We honor you. Thanks for being on for the first time or whatever. We're appreciative of you, Dynamo, or Dynamite. Okay, I said Dynamo. The JJ piece. Come on back, and I think as we get to know you more, you'll find that, people will see what you're saying for what it is. But I appreciate you. Thank you for being on. And even if you have questions, we're not even about people questioning what we say. Question whatever you feel. Just make sure you're not questioning just for the sake of questioning, and let's have real dialogue back and forth. I've been wrong before. I'm not perfect. I'm not without sin or anything like that. And so, feel free to question. We just ask that we be respectful to each other. So thank you all so much. We appreciate you guys. We honor the king and queen in each and every one of you, even if you're not living inside that kingdom or queendom yet. We appreciate the potential king and queen in each and every one of you. As far as today, once again, I'm gonna get on it since I didn't have signal yesterday. So a couple of you need some emails. A couple of you should look out for some different things as far as classes we're going to have. So I'll try to have those classes together and have another thing sent based off of what you guys, the classes y'all told us in the survey that y'all were supposed to take. So you got extra time. If you didn't fulfill the survey, you probably got a couple more hours before I'm gonna start making some decisions with my wife on what classes we're gonna do coming up. So if you haven't done it already, look up the survey, tell us what classes you're interested in. If you want the survey, DM us, reach out to us, go on, YouTube is in the description already. Go on TikTok, go on Facebook, wherever. On TikTok, look for the link tree and all that stuff. Go on there, click on there, go on the website, whatever, get in touch with us. Let us know you want a survey. We'll try to see if we can get it to you ASAP. But today, we already supposed to do it yesterday and I didn't have my signal together. So today we got to make that decision, show you what we're going to offer, and we'll go from there. Okay. We still got a couple weeks before we take the classes. So don't worry about having to jump right in or whatever. It's going to be the Monday, not this Monday coming up, but the Monday after this Monday. So somewhere around the 18th, 19th. Actually, hold on, the 26th, the 27th is Sunday, so the 28th. So I guess it's the 21st, I think. No, 28th is a Monday, so 21st. I don't know, somewhere around there. I think it's the 21st, right? Because the 25th is a Friday. That's going to be Feast of Trumpets. So something like that. But anyway, somewhere around there, that 21st, somewhere around that region, whatever Monday that is, that's when we're going to start the classes. So you still got a little bit of time. All right. But thank y'all. We appreciate you. We honor the King and Queen, each and every one of you. I'll go ahead and take my lead. Born Day celebration is coming up. I'm turning 40. I really don't do Born Day parties like that. And I definitely don't do big ones that everybody's invited. But hey, you only turn 40 one time, and we give y'all the glory, and you guys have been a substantial part of our lives as of recently. So why not? If y'all want to come and spend some time with us, even if it's on Zoom, or Alma's planning some stuff. So I don't know exactly what she's planning, but she's supposed to get back to me as far as, I guess, what we need to put together for it, or I need to give to her so she can put together whatever. So if y'all are interested in helping, or you're interested in the times and the dates and stuff, let us know. And I'm just thankful and grateful for whoever wants to come out and praise Yah for 40 years of life with me. That's a big deal for us to be able to make it, and us to be faithful, and us to be going the right way. So thank y'all. Don't forget Thursday Rise in Prayer, 7 a.m. Eastern New York time. So much stuff. Just keep up with the Google Calendar and you'll be able to be fine. We should be having some big updates coming up soon as far as YLP 83 to kind of get us reconnected and reacclimated with some things, especially just to see where we are and see how close we are not. The goal initially was October, but we're still not going to give up. We're still hanging in there. So, towards getting our land together. So we'll have some updates coming up very soon for that. But thank y'all. We appreciate you. We honor you. And as always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice to the voiceless and speaking the unspoken until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of everybody again. Please remember, as always, Yahshua, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. See y'all tonight. If you're on Patreon Kingdom, see you at 7. If you're 7 Eastern, this is all Eastern, right? See you at 7. If you're going to come on Kofi_42 for the evening session, see you at 8. And then I will see everybody back here tomorrow for the live session to make up for Monday. I'll see y'all at 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow as well. And for those who want to get up early for the makeup, I guess I'll see y'all at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. Thank y'all. Appreciate you. Take care of yourselves. And we look forward to talking to you guys soon. Shalom. Peace.